live stream. Okay, cool. All right. Hey everybody, welcome to the live stream. I think I figured out how to go, and hopefully this will work well. Yeah, I ended up moving some stuff around. So yeah, let's switch that around, and we'll get to what we're doing tonight, which is modding. So the goal tonight is that I want to start on the SLS Artemis project, and in order to do that, we basically have to actually start um, a actual mod. So I just sort of put a work in progress here. We're going to actually call this the core section. Now, doing this and making sure this works properly, let's pull up a window here because I do want to mention what I actually am using. So I have a couple reference photos that I've had, and I just got to pull them up here. Yeah, I have a whole pile of reference photos for a bunch of stuff here. Where is it? Lunar landers. So yeah, and that opened up in the wrong. Yeah, we're doing real well. Okay, cool. All right, so here we go. Hey everybody, welcome to the chat. I do have the chat on the other screen here, so I can see that you're talking. Looks like we got a couple people here: Cedric, DVP, Kevin Penguin, Santiago Tijada. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Dala Artemini, I think that's how I pronounce it. Gamer Series, and a few other people are here, so that's good. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Just realize that this is me trying to do some mods. I'm happy to answer questions while I'm doing certain things, but this isn't a tutorial help video for how do you mod and can I help you figure out stuff. Just want to make that clear because I do want everyone to have a good time, but I also don't want the chat to be filled in with a whole bunch of stuff. And Brosh, I hope I'm pronouncing that brioche. It's a screenshot of my mod pack. Yeah, probably was. But yeah, so I have a whole bunch of stuff here, and there's different screenshots of different people's mod packs from the Saturn project, which I was working on. And what I'm actually looking for is, I think it's this one here. Yeah. So this is the NASA Space Launch System guide. So this is going to be my primary tool for figuring out what the heck I'm supposed to be doing, because the goal is to make this one-to-one. So we're going to go to the core stage here, and basically we have this is gonna, oh, there we go. Sorry. Yeah, so there's a couple pictures of it in here. There's a lot of talking, a lot of background information, but specifically if we scroll here, block 1 is what we're looking at. We have the SLS vehicle and we have the core stage. So tonight I'm hoping to do the core stage and the RCS 25 engines. So that's the goal, and then we'll see if I have a bit of extra time, if I can do that as well. And that should work out pretty well. Now, I know some of you are all over the place, so I'm just trying to look here. Can you make the capsule with an R detonate? That's how space. I don't like things with the word detonate in them. Spaceflight Simulator is supposed to be about peaceful exploration, not blowing stuff up. Kevin, you're wondering how long the stream will go. At least an hour, maybe longer depending on how I feel. And also if people are watching and they're like, yeah, this is useful. If people are like, oh, okay, this is kind of boring, then I might cut it a bit shorter than that. But at least an hour, that was the original plan. So my goal here is to make the core stage and the RCS 25 engines. So this is the document I'm going to be using, SLS reference guide. I think if you Google Google the name, it'll pop up and you can check it out yourself. And if somebody wants to drop that link in the chat, that would be amazing, because I don't remember exactly where I got this from other than NASA. So that's what I'm going to have here on the other page. We're just going to move it over here. And yeah, so we're going to go back here to the actual utility mod toolkit. Now, I just want to make a quick mention here that the mod toolkit was updated yesterday, and then updated again. So there's a bunch of new stuff here that I'm still playing around with, especially for the engines. So we'll see how that goes and we'll get to it. So basically let's start with the core section. I created an object called core section. And here we go, we're gonna add components. Now, we need to add certain components into each section, and that is parts. That is orientation, because if you open parts, it's gonna say it needs orientation, and you also need variables. And we're gonna take the variable module, and we'll have it here so we can add variables, which are Boolean, doubles, which is for numbers. We have Boolean for yes, no. That's used for some stuff. And then we have variable string, which is if you want to like write a piece of text. Generally, the only thing I see that using is for like the texture colors and the shadows and stuff. But there's some other uses if you want to get more advanced. And that's what we're going to put in here. Now, there's going to be some other stuff we're going to add in here a bit later. But for now, that's what we're going to add in for the core section. Because I don't like filling this up too much because it can get a little unruly. So next thing we're going to do is make sure that we set the layer to parts, and that sets up our core part. So now we're actually going to build the actual part. So we're going to create an empty, we're going to make sure it is parts, and we're going to add in a custom pipe. Now you can use a couple different things. You can use custom pipes, regular pipes, etc. I just find custom pipes work relatively well, and anyone who's been new to who's been doing this modding might notice that there's now a physics collider. Exactly what that does, not sure, but yeah. It's there, and I haven't really played with it, but just leave it clicked if you want the part to do something. And it's created this little box here, so that's good. Now, next thing we're going to need to do is actually make this big enough for the SLS core stage. Now, looking over here at my document, it's saying it's 64 meters high and 8.4 meters wide. So I'm going to go from 0 here. So we're going to go here. We're going to go 64.5, sorry, 64.6. And the width is 8.4. And then we'll do 8.4 here. Now, that's going to be our stage. We're going to work on it, but that's how big it is in the game. Now, one thing I'm going to do here, and this is something you'll see a lot of other modders doing stuff, is we're going to round it to the nearest half meter. We don't always have to do this, but the game kind of works in half meters, so it's useful to have everything in half meter by half meter. That way you don't end up with parts sticking into other parts and other stuff like that. And just going to check the chat. Everything good? Yeah, engine 3 failure. Yeah, I don't know. Make a dodgy engine. Now, obviously, it's not going to show anything, so we're going to add another component here. And this component is going to be the mesh, or yeah, pipe mesh. There we go. So this is the pipe mesh. We're going to add the game object, which I actually need to probably change the name to actually say here. Fuel tank. Okay. And then it'll want to ask us to put a color. These are all the different metals we have. I'm just going to stick it with metal 1 right now. And then for shape texture, here I'm going to pick, because if I'm looking at the picture, it's got some lines on it. So you could pick interstage, but we could also pick rivets. So we're just going to pick rivets right now, and color. Let's make it orange. Now, there's a lot of stuff we can do later to actually make this look good, but for right now, we're just trying to make it functional. Because functional first, make it look nice later. Because if it doesn't work, it doesn't matter how pretty it is. And that looks to be pretty good. I'm just going to check here. All right. Now, the next stage on this is we need to go and figure out, so we have fuel in this tank, and we also have the weight of the tank itself. All right. So there's a couple different ways we can do this. We could go back here to the core stage and add it here. We can add it to the fuel tank itself. And I think because the fuel tank itself is pretty basic, we're not going to go too crazy here yet. We can add it as a component, and it's actually resource. module, and this module is going to give us a whole bunch of errors until we actually tell it what the resource is, and the resource is going to be liquid fuel. All right, so we have liquid fuel here, and I'm just looking here saying, again, off the document, here's the document, that it is got, how much fuel does it have? So when it's fueled, it's 1,900 and 1,090 tons. So 1090. And then, oh, where'd my document go? When it's empty, it's 85.3 tons. Okay, so 85.3 tons. We're going to pull out a calculator here. Wow, that's actually not very... Wow, this is mostly fuel. Okay, cool. Most in the games, the fuel ratio is 10% tank, 1% there. But if we go 85.3 divided by 20.90, all right, it is 7.8. So dry mass percentage is, we're just going to round that up to 0.08. Yeah, I know. Well, we could say 7.8, but we don't want to get too much mathing. And then resource percentage, we're going to say is 1. And we're going to set that to set mass. And I got to create some variables. Yeah. Okay. So in the core section here, we're going to add some variables in because I'm totally doing this backwards. All right, so we need a variable called mass. And that's going to go up here, mass. And the center of mass is going to be 0. And what did I say this was? 60. Let's say 65. So that's, let's say 32.5. Okay, that's good enough for the center of mass. So we're going to go back to the here. We're going to set this to mass. Now you can also set these two variables as well. That's why these exist. But for right now, I'm not going to do anything too crazy. So I don't actually need to add those to variables. So that's sort of what we're going with there. I'm just going to check here on the chat. Do I like penguins? Yes, I do like penguins. I was tempted to make the Piconauts actually penguins, sort of astronaut stuff. But I'm waiting to see what Steph does with astronauts and then see if they'll drop the modules, etc. to do that. Because I do have astronauts made, but I don't want to come out with astronauts like 2 weeks before he releases the update and be like, well, here are the real astronauts. And everyone's like, what's this? But yeah, space penguins, definitely high on the list. All right. And let's see what we got. Any other things? A car. I know one guy who makes really good cars. I think it's Creed Design. He makes a whole bunch of stuff. We should probably give him a poke and be like, make us a Tesla car so we can put it in space. Yeah, okay. So that's the basic fuel tank right there. It's got the correct mass. As the fuel will drop, the mass will drop, so it'll output this. So that's good there, and this will be able to be used by anything that's nearby for the engine. Now, we need to make this actually look kind of nice. Kind of nice. I'm just trying to read here to figure out if there's anything else I need to do for the basics. Because we're just, again, basics here to make sure that we at least have a functional rocket and it's not going to break on us. Yeah, I think we're good. Okay. Because it's basically a giant tube. There's a bunch of artwork that we can throw onto it, but it's a basic tube. And we're going to do a few things here. Bit of housekeeping. So core section, we need to actually add it to an asset bundle. So new, I'm going to go here. See if I can do this. This is the one thing, the asset bundle thing is got to be the most painful thing to try to convince it to be like, hey, I actually want to put a name in there. Because sometimes it wants to let you do it, and sometimes it's like, no soup for you. If somebody has an easy way of, yeah, okay. I'm on. Why this is so buggy, I don't know. But I want to create a new asset bundle. Come on. There we go. Oh, no, it's now got just a letter D. Okay, there we go, D. All right, so, and where'd it go? Great. I'm not kidding. This is the weirdest, most complicated, there we go, thing ever. It doesn't work sometimes, and There we go. Then it works. I don't know. Now, this name here can be anything you want. I just put that like that because at the end of the day, when you actually output these things, you'll put it in a pack bundle, and that's when you can actually put the pretty name and everything else like that on it. But for my references, I just need to make it something complicated so that I can understand what it is. And that adds this core section to that bundle. So if I say select it, what's in the bundle, it just comes up and says the core section is in the bundle. And this is useful because if you were to say what's in, say, my Apollo, and I go filter selection name, it shows all the stuff in the Apollo pack. So that's what we're up to right now. And then I gotta find it again. There we go. Aha. And filter that name. Okay. And then of course I have it in a folder as well because, you know, folders are great. So we have that there. And now I'm just trying to look here. Okay, so from the forward skirt to the engine thrust exit plane. Oh, it includes the engine. Okay. So yeah, this is the fun part with these documents. It says it goes to the engine exhaust exit plane, which I'm assuming is the bottom of the engine. So I need to subtract the bottom of the engine from here. The engine itself is 4.3 meters. So I need to make this a little shorter than it was. So what did I say? 4.3. So we'll say 4. So we're just going to make this an even 60. And I'm sure at some point somebody's going to say, this is going, yes, Jaden, I am actually streaming how to do this because I've had dozens of people ask me how to make stuff. And I was like, I'm going to do a stream about this. You can watch and learn from me doing it and then realize how little I actually know and how much of this is poking in the dark. uh, so there you go. That's what this is. So right now we have the fuel tank, and the fuel tank is pretty good. I'm just looking here to see if we have any other reference pictures of the fuel tank itself. It's big, it's long. There are some lines along the top here. So if we bring this over here for a second again, and we can see here that there's this pipe here that goes along here. There's also a whole bunch of other stuff, but we'll focus on this pipe for a second, and I'm going to pull up my reference images because the reference images, here we go, shows this pipe. So what we're actually going to do, and this is kind of a neat thing, we're going to copy that picture. We're going to go back to Unity, and we're going to paste it here. I say this, watch this not work. It did not work. 1 second. We're going to show an Explorer, and then we're going to paste it here. There we go. And we'll say SLS PNG. Okay, cool. So now we actually have it in the game. We can actually drag it on here and make it an actual part. So we're going to position it 0, 0, and then we're going to scale it here. What do we say? 2? No, 2.5 maybe. Yeah. 3. Does that look pretty good? We're just trying to get the fuel tank lined up here. And probably have to rotate it slightly too because it's not straight. All right, there we go. So 3 is a bit too big. Let's go 2.5. No, I'm going the wrong way. Haha, 4. 4. Okay, 4 is good. 4 works. And then we'll go here. And I know the engines are somewhere there. And then we're going to go here 4. And that will give us a reference in the game. So we can actually set that up right here. And that actually is pretty accurate. It is a photo, so you know, take it that it won't be precise. And obviously, if I can get a more precise diagram, I will make some adjustments to this a little bit later. But for right now, that is what we currently have. And somebody's posting Among Us. I don't understand why. Yeah, so yeah, I do have the updates. So this is the update mod. So these are going to be compatible with the update because I can export the pack. So yeah, so that's what we end up with right now. And now I'm looking at that. I don't think this is a lot smoother than I thought it would look like in game. So we're actually going to go down here and we're going to take the rivets off and we're going to pick. Let's see here, flat, smooth. Which one are we going to pick? There's a couple of them here we can pick. Like this is totally smooth. I don't like that one. Let's go. Let's go with this one for right now. We can change it later, but that gets us pretty good. And that's probably somebody's gonna comment. That's the wrong color of orange. It's more red. Let's go with that. Actually, we can use a little color picker here. Oh, that's gonna make it too dark though, but that's okay. We can adjust that by bringing the darkness up. Bring the darkness up. What? And over. Come on. Okay, so enough messing around with the colors. Obviously, we can go back and make that better later. Okay, so we want to add this little pipe thing here that goes like this. So we're going to, so we're going to actually go here and we're going to create a new empty. We're going to change it to parts and we're going to zero it out because I don't know why this thing keeps coming up with magic numbers. It's like I always wanted 0, but okay. And then we're going to go custom pipe again. And we're going to get a little bit more fancier with this custom pipe because we actually want it to do a whole bunch of stuff. And I'm going to show you how to use this. Okay, so here's the custom pipe and you can pull these vertices. And basically this one here is a central point and then this here is the rotation. One quick note, don't actually cross the stream like this, like the white lines. It will have a bad day. And it will crash Unity a lot of times or freeze up Unity or whatever. So you want to try to avoid that. Now we're going to go and basically move it over here. Actually, we're going to, move it over here. We're just going to get to the right height. And you can also change the values here on the side over here so that you can pick what you want. And we're going to go here and we're just going to get high enough, 45. I think that's probably good. Okay. And then I'm just going to look here, 2, okay. And I'm actually now going to just, because I want to put it, that's where it's going to end up with when I'm done. I'm going to, I'm going to then move it over here and actually build it on this. And then I will correct this X position back to 0 and it'll put it back on the rocket in the right spot. I don't know what Gamer Series and Kevin Penguin are doing, but let's not put too much garbage in the chat. Like, again, if you guys have questions, let me know. If you guys want to talk about other stuff, that's cool. But little tiny, I don't know what those are, is not great. How do I do, I'm assuming you mean boosters. So I will be covering boosters either near the end of today or in the next live stream when I have finished the core and the rocket. The boosters will be next. But the boosters are very similar to the rockets. The rocket engines. However, you're using a different module. The game basically has 3 engine modules. You have the engine module, which is, thrust and throttle. You have the booster, which is just on off, but it's a full booster run and it runs through the fuel. And then the third one is you have the RCS. So those are pretty cool, but those are the 3 engines. And then there's other things you can do to provide force to your rocket, but that starts to get a little bit questionable. But we'll cover that a little bit later. So here we have the square, and you can see it here. And in a second, I will, and I'm assuming it goes all the way to the bottom. Sure, let's assume that. I'm going to add in here the pipe mesh like I did before. But in this one here, I'm going to make a little change. We're going to say fuel tank. Or actually, no, or game object. I got to change those names. We're going to pick here edges for lack of anything else. And then we're going to go here, and I'm actually going to turn down this. This is the transparency of the object. So by changing it to this, I'm making it very transparent. And the reason for that is because as I build the object, I still want to be able to see the color metrics will be white. And we'll make this more complicated as we go on. I'm just going to bring that transparency down so I can still see what I'm doing. Okay. And then I'll show you how we can make this really advanced color once I'm finished sort of drawing the pipe. So I'm just going to call this tank pipe. And we're going to start here at the top. So at the top, we have this point here. So if I hit this green point, it creates another point. So I'm just going to move that one down here. because I'm going to actually make this one, whoops. And I have to just grab the little circle in the thing, and I'm going to go about right there. And then I'm going to make this here. And every time you press a green button, it makes it. If you press the red, it'll basically, green means adds a part, red deletes a part. Not too complicated on that one. And then we're just going to do now. You might notice it's jumping too much. So you can go here to grid size, and I would suggest 1. Now, if I want to move stuff, I have a lot of flexibility. This is how you can make really smooth parts. The only issue you have to deal with is that later you have to go through here and correct for any accidental minor move left, move right kind of thing, because those can happen. And then we're just going to go through here, and we're basically making this fuel pipe thing. And it will make the mesh, and then if we want to update the mesh, we do actually go down here to generate mesh, we press it, and there you go, it's updated. And then we're just going to maybe make this one a little bit smaller. There we go. And we want to push it there so it does actually look, and we can zoom in quite a bit here. And that's, straighten that out. And you know what, we'll just create another, oh, okay, I made a mistake there. Delete that. Yeah. And we will pull that flat like that. And double check, yeah, that's there. So we're gonna bring this one down a little bit, and we'll bring that one there. And there we go. And then we're gonna hit generate mesh. And that looks not the greatest. Generate mesh, okay. And then we're just gonna go through here on the data. And I know it's 0 across the board, so anything that's got not 0, I'm just gonna quickly fix. And this will clean up our model. And then here I have a very small width, and the rest have there. And again, here, these are all gonna be different numbers, that's fine. Okay, and then we're going to generate the mesh again, and then we're just gonna go through here and quickly try to clean this up ever so slightly so that it looks marginally decent. There we go. So that's sort of how we do this. And something happened. Okay. There we go. Just quickly checking the chat again. You should change the color to match the core stage. I got pretty close. I'm gonna actually show you guys later maybe how to put, take this and convert it into a drawing and then place that on here as the actual coloring. So I don't worry too much about the coloring on the core stage at this current point. So now one thing we do have to keep in mind here is that this is actually a very large object. So I'm actually going to create a couple of these points here because I'm going to need them as we sort of go between the different parts because I want to get here. Okay, so that's going to be the end of the white part. And that's going to get pulled in to about right there. Now, I'm just looking over here. What am I actually doing? So we're going to say 0.45 is going to be the smallest point on that. Clear that out. Okay. And we'll go here. And I'm going to pull the reference image up again. I have it over there. Yeah, so it drops down and it drops down. Okay. So it's actually a pretty hard step, but this is looking from the bottom. I have to realize that we're going to be looking at it straight on. So I just need a step down. I don't actually have to make it that line. So here we're going to make that step down, and again over here, number correct. And we're going to go like this and right there. And this guy here, where is he? Oh, we're going to zero him out. Now again, as I said, with the smaller imaging, you can get really nice, but then you have to zero out these little niggles, I guess we're going to call them. Not sure of a better word. And then we'll hit generate mesh, and that looks pretty good. Might want to move this down a bit. And I want to move this down here like that. All right, so let me know what you guys think in the chat about that, but we're going to move on to these pipe sections here. So the pipe comes all the way here, And then it comes down here to the same width, like so. And then we have this pipe then gets much wider. So we're going to make it much wider here. And then we're going to make another part here and make it, again, same width. Oh, come on. There we go. And then we're going to make it smaller again. Yeah, welcome to modding, everybody. It sometimes is a lot of steps back and forth to do this. And are we doing the right spot? Now, there's another way of doing this, which is we just make the straight pipe, and then we add these on as additional items. I'm actually thinking that might be the faster way of doing it. So we're going to do it that way, because that way I don't waste everybody's time watching me try to do that. I don't know how many times that is. And then here at the bottom, where are we at the bottom? We're over here. So 0.45 is the number I suggested. And we're going to go generate mesh. And there we go. So that's going to be the center pipe. And then we'll add parts onto this pipe in a second. All right. So in here, we're going to say, create another empty object. And we're going to call this, I don't know, pipe trim. I'm sure there's probably a technical name for it, but basically it's these little whatever lines on it. And the pipe trim is going to be, again, we're just going to go custom pipe, pipe mesh, and it's going to do this stuff here. And we're just going to quickly grab this stuff, pipe trim. And it's important to name them stuff that you know. Otherwise, you're going to enter trouble. And we're going to say these ones here. Do we have orange? We do have the color orange. Okay, we're going to use orange for now. And then we're going to go here, edges. And there we go. And then somewhere here, it's created this circle. There we go. Perfect. So we're going to go with here. And these guys here, we're going to leave them blank because we don't want to get too crazy. And then we're just going to move, move the, come on. Move the whole block. So it's not changing these vertices points. It's actually changing the position. And we want to do that because what we're going to do is copy this over a couple dozen times. So we're just going to put it here for a second to figure out the width or the height. I kind of like that. And the width is probably okay. So we're going to position it here. And then we've got that there and there. So that's going to be there. I'm going to say 1, and I said 0.5. Yeah, okay. We're going to generate that mesh. So that's going to be one of our blocks. We can then obviously take this pipe trim and then go copy, paste, 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 and then grab each successive one and simply move it up the rocket. I'm going to actually zero these out, which I should have probably done already. Okay. Pardon me. And here we go. And so we got one there. We got one there. We go paste, and then we go up. And we're just going to go quickly up the rocket and put these in. Oops. What do I do? Want to make sure they're all childs of the tank pipe, because when we move the tank pipe back, we want the pieces to go with them. How many more do we have? A few more. Okay. There we go. And then we just move back up here, and we keep, oh, that one's supposed to go in here. It's going to rename that 6. I do want to keep them numbered because if I have to, there's a lot of things later. You don't want things named the same in this program, especially if you are having people allowing to do the custom skin color or something like that. You actually have to tell the program every single part that needs a skin, and having pipe trim, pipe trim, pipe trim, pipe trim without numbers, it can be a pain when you're trying to update that. So yeah, make sure that you don't have any parts that have the same name. You can do it, but you'll regret it later. You'll definitely regret it later. Oops, that's a little too high. And again, yeah, I'm just changing the y-axis here. Okay, that's good. And then we get the top here, and then there's this one, I think there's one right there. Again, I'll just look at my reference image. Yeah, there's one right there. So we're going to make one more, and we'll bring it up here. There we go. And we're actually going to go on this one here and change it so it is a slightly yellow. Why? Because it's slightly yellow in the picture, and I thought, let's try that. It's a little different. And we're just going to move it there. Okay. So as I said, we have this part here. I did set the opacity down quite a bit, so I can now bring it up, and it creates this white pipe that we have there. And then by going to the tank here, and instead of X negative whatever, we go 0, and boom, it's not on our rocket. Right, because I didn't set the base depth. All right, so the base depth of the rocket's going to be -2. Generate the mesh. This is how you make things go on top of each other. And we'll go tank pipe, and we're going to go here, let's say 3. And I just got to pull some numbers until it actually shows up, because it's based on how depth it is, but also how wide it is. And this is actually a pretty wide, narrow part on a wide part, so I might have to put a very big number. Now, this will cause problems if I was in a fairing or something like that, so keep in mind when you're using this. There we go. And the number is 10. Okay, so pipe trims are all going to go, I can probably put them at 8. We'll see if that works. Where's the bottom one here? No, I'll probably have to go 9. And obviously we have to just do 10. Okay, fine. There we go. Cool. So all the trims are going to get 10, and then we'll do this. So that, yeah, when you're doing these types of stuff, it's best to figure this out beforehand so you don't have to repeat this all the time. But this works pretty well, and it's only about 9 of them, so it only takes a couple seconds. And while I'm doing this, I'm going to then peek over at the chat and see how you guys are doing, and if you have any questions. So if you have questions about what I'm doing so far, let me know. And if you see that I'm doing something horribly wrong, let me know. Other than obviously pushing the base depth to 10, which is, you know, ridiculous. I did promise some bubbling around in the dark, and here it is. Now, if you're doing, you could always do some other stuff, but all right, so there we go. And then there's this thing in the way. I don't know if this goes all the way to the bottom, and you're probably noting that it's white at the top, but it's orange at the bottom. So we're going to actually fix that by doing this neat little trick. So we're going to close this custom mesh right now. Instead of doing color, you can do color local, or you can do color module, but you can also go basic, and then you can also go to advanced. So we're going to go to advanced, and we're going to pick some colors. So we have white, and then we have orange. And again, we're going to pick an orange that I think is pretty close. I want it to be a little bit brighter than the orange on the rocket itself. Just a little bit. There we go. And with that, I'm going to just move this up here a bit. Okay, so the white's at the bottom. That's the wrong way. No, we got to switch it. Okay, so the white is going to basically go from the bottom here. Where are we? Oh, shoot. Bottom, top. This thing's backwards. But you can see here that as I bring this number up, the orange is rising and the white's at the top. It is a little bit backwards, but not the end of the world, and in game it doesn't really matter. So we're going to bring it up to about right there. Double check that looks good compared to our reference image right there. And then we have our orange pipe on our orange rocket with our orange spurs. So there we go. All right, so just going to check the thing here saying this is not a BP editing. No, this is actually modding with the mod toolkit. This is not BP editing. It's very similar to BP editing, but you can do a lot of stuff here that you can't do with BP editing, because while BP editing you can have a bunch of functions. Just to give you guys an idea, here are all the different modules in the game that can be used to do different things, and you can add them and combine them um, to make the rocket and your parts do different things. In addition, if you want, like these are actually just C# scripts. You can actually make your own C# script, and then you can actually add it as a full mod. It'll have a .dll with it. That's what More Parts does. He has the parts that are what I'm making right now that are custom parts, and then he has the code, which is this kind of stuff here, where he's added all the advanced functions. Um, the only issue with that is that we don't think the advanced functions will port over to mobile due to how mobile handles it. So anything you can do with the built-in modules and avoid using the custom modules means that if there ever is an update for mobile, they'll be able to use it in addition to the PC and the Mac players. So that's why I try to make as much of my stuff with custom parts than just with using the basically programming and writing up stuff that can do everything. So it's sort of, those are the two things. You have custom part mods, and then you have the DLL programming mods. And if you go DLL programming mods, then yeah, it's probably not ever going to be used on mobiles. So that's, you don't need coding, but if you want to do that crazy coding, you can. It is C#. It's not too hard, and again, you have all these modules that you can sort of look at and use as a basis. Just don't actually change these modules, because when you upload a custom part, the programming language doesn't go with it. It uses the programming language in the game. So if you were to change this code and then play it in the game, it would use the game code, not this code. I did that to fix the wheel mod because there was an error in the wheel mod. I just fixed it enough that it would let me do what I needed to do, and then in the game, it actually used the wheel mod in the game, and everything worked perfectly. Although that is now updated, so you can actually use the actual wheel module that comes in the new toolkit, which got updated again this afternoon with the update for the torque and the engine, etc., so that you can actually gimbal your engines now. So that's what I'm going to be doing tomorrow, is putting the gimbal back into all my engines. And I'll be able to rework the Raptor engines to have the gimbal and not gimbal versions. So that should be good. Yeah, so Odin goes in. So what happens is, for Odin, and we'll just take 2 seconds because I don't want to turn this into a giant thing, but you can actually import Odin as a I think it's import package here, custom packages, and you can import Odin that way. But you do need to have the Unity Hub, the Unity Editor, the Mod Toolkit, and Odin and Visual, whatever it was that opened up when I did this. Visual Studio. And all this is relatively free with the exception of Odin. Odin has it where you have to get it as a you have to pay for it, so it comes with a trial, which I have 47 days left on my 90-day trial. So I'm hoping to get as much stuff done in the 90 days, and then I'll have to decide if I want to spend money on Odin or not to continue going. So that's my 90 days of fun, and we'll see where we go. So back here, we're going to then go and say, okay, so we've done this, and I think this looks pretty good. But we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to change it from local to advanced. We're going to go back to basic for a second. We're going to go in here and we're going to actually save this as a swatch color at the bottom here. It's right here at the bottom. So that current color there, because when I switch it over to advanced, like so, it doesn't show up the color thing, and then I have to go make a new one. But now I can just go back to the swatch. There we go. All right, so here we have a couple different colors. Now, we can add these other details and stuff later, but for right now, I just want to show you how to do this. And so we have an orange band up here. So you have to count how many times the color changes. So we're going to say 1, 2, so we're going to go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then down at the bottom, I'm going to say that's probably 7 there. Okay, there we go. And then we're going to copy this and then paste it. And we can do paste, or we insert a pasted element. We're just going to paste in this case instead of insert pasted element. And then I'm looking at this and saying, is this starting the right color? Yeah. Okay, and then for this, we're going to go here, and we're going to pick this lighter orange. And I'm hoping it's going to end up being lighter. There we go. Oh, that looks awful. That's a terrible orange color. Bad program. And it's supposed to be lighter too. Okay, and then we're going to copy this, and we're going to paste it here, and paste it here, and we'll worry about the way at the bottom, because I probably have this all backwards again. It probably, yeah, it comes off. Why it goes from the bottom, I don't know. Yeah. Okay. So I need to actually switch all this around. Ta-da. Now it's switched around. Okay, so this starts at 0. So we're going to have it 0, and then we're going to go here, and this is going to go, and why is it not working now? No, it's coming from the bottom again. Oh. All right, guess we're starting from the bottom. Let's just do it. All right, there we go. Now it's... All right, 1 second here, guys, while I try to remember how to do this. All right, got the white color. If I do this, where does it go? Everything's backwards. Great. Okay. All right, so I think I have to go all the way to the top. Yeah, that's what it is, all the way to the top. Okay, there we go, 60 to the top. Okay, so 60, and then we're going to go 55. And then we're going to go here, and why is this? Do we have to go 65? Hang on here, guys, just a little technical. Oh, I know what it is. So this goes to... Yeah, I think this thing thinks it's upside down. Sometimes this stuff does weird stuff, but we're going to fix that in a second by going to the custom pipe, and we're just going to flip the pipe upside down. There we go. Now if this works, there we go. Ta-da. Okay. All right. So we're going to go to right there. And then we're going to go here. It's going to go there. And then we're going to go all the way down, up. Oh, it's going to show the whole thing, isn't it? Hang on. That's going to go there. So that's 2. And then we're going to go a little bit lower. And yeah, this can be a little tedious. And as I said, we'll probably change this anyway. So I just want to show you guys how this works a little bit so that you understand the crazy process it is, but this is the right way to do it. All right. And then bring this up, and it'll bring the white tube up at the top. That's fine. There we go. And then the bottom here, we can add this giant orange section again, like so. And we have it sort of like that. Now again, we can add a lot more detail on here, but I'm just sort of repeating the same steps over and over, and I don't necessarily want to redo that, but there we go. Okay, so we'll say that's the core stage. It has the right mass, the weight, height, etc. So I think we're good on that. As an initial one, and again, I can go back here and add a lot of extra details, and I can definitely take this, and instead of having it like this set up here, I can definitely change the texture to a pre-made texture with all the cool dots and lines and everything else on there. But for right now, that's good. We have the core thing, and we can zoom in and it looks pretty good. And, you know, again, we can play around with stuff and changing the colors, etc. But for that, that's pretty good. So now we don't need this image anymore, but I'm going to leave the image on here. What I'm actually just going to do for right now is just toggle the active state, and the image is now gone. We have our core stage. So the next thing we need to do is the engine, and I know you guys really like the engine idea. So I'm going to go back to SLS modulus. Oh, I got this thing set up in the wrong spot. Okay, there we go. So now let's talk about the engine. Now there's two ways of doing the engine, and I'll let you guys decide in the chat. So I'll give you a few seconds here while I pull up the engine diagrams. Basically, I can use one of the engines in the game and modify it to be the RS-25, or I could make the RS-25 from scratch. The benefit of doing the RS-25 by scratch is that you're not held together by the concept the game has and how it's normally put together. It's not bad, but there's other ways you can do it. Or I can show you how to modify an existing engine. The advantage of that one is it makes it a lot easier to do because 90% of the code is already there. So let me know. And actually, DVP would not surprise me if it comes out in a month or two. This is supposed to be the final mod before this is supposed the mod update beta that happened yesterday. It's supposed to be the final one before release. So basically we're doing mods and checking stuff out and seeing if there's any other errors. I found a few things I've sent already to the dev, so we'll see how that goes, but that is sort of the thinking process is there. So yeah, I'm expecting it to be sooner than later, and exactly when I don't know, but definitely I think sooner than 3 years. I think we'd all be very disappointed if it was 3 years later and it finally came out. So we're just going to go back here to the reference guide, and I think I have also a picture of the engine. There we go. So here's the picture of the engine. And I think I'll use this. I think it's accurate enough. And again, we're going to gamify it. I don't need all this little tiny little detail, etc. And if you've seen my other engines, you know that I've sort of go semi-realistic. But this is what we're going to take here, and then we will do that. So show and explorer, Artemis, there we go. And we're going to add that image, and we're just going to call this, rename it RS-25. Okay. And then it'll add it into the game here so that we can actually look at it. And then again, I can do similar to the rocket, add it into the background, and then build on top of it. So people in the chat, I didn't hear anything here. Do you guys want it to be build it like a yes, it does look like an orange cylinder. So for the RS-25, do you want me to rebuild a new rock, make it from scratch, show you guys how to do that, or do you guys want me to make it from an actual pre-existing engine? Pardon me, because I can show you the engine thing, but again, I'll let you guys decide what you want. And while you guys are doing that, I'm just going to pull up the, I don't know how much of a delay there is. So right now, for me, it's 7:55. So if you guys let me know when you actually see this, I'll know how many minutes of a delay it is. Because sometimes YouTube streaming can be quite long. All right, and we're going to pull up this here. And we're going to bring this over here. So I'm just going to block by the numbers. So here's our numbers. Now I do have it somewhere. So open up Excel, and we're going to go here to ship design. And do RS-25. There we go. Okay, so yeah, this is my this is ASOD made this, and a couple of people made updates. I've expanded it and added other engines in here, and this basically helps me use the calculator to figure out where it is. And these are, I probably should that correct, but anyhow, yeah. So why did I pull this up? So I pulled this up because there's two things. So these are the actual specs on the engine here. So these are like what the engine is in real life. But if we translate that directly into Spaceflight Simulator, the engine becomes overpowered. It becomes, really easy to use, etc. Like it's just it's a bit crazy. And we definitely, while we do want a nice engine and we do want it to be good, we don't want to make it crazy overpowered that basically you go and open up Spaceflight Simulator, like, and you pick this engine, and you're like, I'm gonna fly my rocket to Jupiter and back on a small tank. That would be, I'm gonna say, bad. So I have it here, and we're gonna go with, and again here, 4.5 by 2.5 is going to be the size of the engine and everything else like that. The weight is going to be 7 tons. As you can see over here, we double the weight. And then thrust, double the weight. For thrust, we adjusted the thrust. Again, this is a math calculation to adjust for Spaceflight Simulator. And then the ISP is 301 because, yeah, the ISP is 301. This is a very nice engine. um, and then there's some other numbers that we don't have to worry about for this modding session. So that's going to be the base of the engine, and that's how big the engine's going to be. So we're going to go here, and we're actually going to make an engine. Now I'm going to add... all right, so how many votes do we have? We got 1 reuse and 2 scratches. Okay, so I guess we're making this from scratch. Why did I talk myself into this? I don't know. All right, no worries. So we're going to create a prefab as soon as I find it on this list. There it is, prefab, and we're going to go rs-25, and we're going to go here, and we're going to change it to parts. And now again, I'm just going to quickly run through this. You saw it earlier. We're just going to add these are the required modules. These sort of link Unity into the game physics, so they are needed. And the new one is variable drawers that's been added. That actually is a very useful mod, and I'll show you why a little bit later. But yeah, that I'm going to probably end up using, I'm hoping, and I put in quotes, as an engine multiplier. Until somebody comes up with a mod, I might try to do it myself to make that. So anyway, so display name, we're going to say RS25. Engine extraordinaire. I don't know. We'll just say engine. Fine. And then we'll say okay, so for the mass, we set it with 7 tons, but we're actually going to make some changes to that a bit later. And because I said it was 4.5, 2.5, that makes it about 2.25. Oh, 0. It's always 0 there. And then 2.25. Okay. And that's going to be our engine. And again, we'll just add the orientation and add the variables. All right. There we go. All right. Just doing a little bit of a stretching here and grabbing some water before I jump into this insanity. Okay. So an engine has a few key components with this, and you can add these in or not depending on how you want to do it. But for all intents and purposes, you basically have the top plate. So I'm going to call that I'm just going to call it the top plate. Top plate, that's going to connect up to the rocket. Obviously, we can do a bunch of other things like that. We're going to duplicate it. We also have the nozzle. We have the flame holder, and that's particular. We do need that. And I think those are the 3 core pieces. Everything else we don't actually need. Um, and we'll just go here and we do need this. And we're going to call this the flame hitbox. Now we can call these anything we want. The reason I'm calling these is because this is what Steph generally has called it. And I'll have to remember what this is, but it's in physics 2D. And I think we're talking a box collider. Now we can use any collider we want, but we have the box collider here, and that is our heat. This is the heat the engine will produce. It's going to be this little box here, and this holder is so that we can move it around, etc. Because this object here, if you try to move it, it gets messy, and that's why we have a child to a heat holder. The nozzle itself, obviously we're going to make the nozzle. This is going to be the cool looking nozzle with all that goodness in it that everyone likes to see. And then the top plate, obviously that's going to be everything sort of that isn't the nozzle, so it's not moving. That will go at the top. And I generally have a little top plate because that's how Steph has it in the game, to basically connect to the bottom of the rocket. And then we'll have it where the nozzle can rotate and all that fun stuff. Yeah, Cedric, probably tomorrow, probably jump on like a Zoom meeting or something to see if we can get it to work for you, because it's kind of odd that you've been working on it and you're having so many problems. So we'll see how it goes, but yeah, we'll have to figure that out because it should be working for you guys. I had to go through a pile of hoops myself, but nothing crazy. But I may make another video for that as well. But let me know, and we'll see what we can do on that as well. But overall, I think we're doing okay here. Nobody's asking for any crazy questions. But yeah, individually, I can help you, DVP and Cedric, figure this out because I know you guys have been struggling with it for like the last day or so. But it's not hard. It's just you need to get the steps, and the steps are not always clear. All right, so let's get back to making this nozzle for everyone else. So again, here we're going to go pipe. You can use different types of pipes. You can use an edge pipe, a fuel pipe, a simple pipe. I just generally always use the custom pipe because then I can modify stuff and see how it goes. So this pipe is not going to be super complicated. We're going to add the mesh at the bottom. We're going to add the data. And yeah, again, modding, you see a lot of the common steps. Now here I want to use metal 4. Metal 4. Why? Because I feel like it. And the shape texture is going to be flat. Flat. There we go. Which one do I want? It's metal 4, so we want to make it kind of smooth. Okay. All right, so we have this. It's 0, 0. So this is at 0, 0. So we go here. 1. Okay. Now for all my engines and a lot of stuff I do, if I'm expecting stuff to be attached on top, I make 0, 0 the top. If I'm making it look like something on the bottom, I'll make 0, 0 the bottom, and similar left and right, etc. Just so that when I'm working in Unity, I have a general idea where 0 is, because it does not show me on here where the actual 0 point is. It's a weird thing. If somebody knows how to show like maybe a thicker line on 0, 0, that'd be great. But so for the engine, everything is below the engine. And I said it's 2.5. So we're going to make it 2.5. And we're going to actually go here, negative 0.25. This is just the bottom engine. And we'll say 2. And we're going to generate mesh. And this is going to be where the engine actually attaches to the rocket. We can play around with it for a little bit later, but that's what that is right there. And we can add pipes and a whole bunch of other stuff. So there we go. We can also, again, bring in this image here. And that's essentially what I'm doing right there. At least that's what I'm thinking I'm going to do. Not sure if I should use left or right. at the moment, but that's that's what I'm thinking in terms of how it goes. I just I'm a dislike button. Oh, that's awesome. What future tutorials are you planning to upload? Thanks for answering. So tutorials I'm planning to upload is um a how to actually install the mod loader and everything. I was going to do it, but then he made a new mod update and all these other changes. I'm hoping to do that with my laptop, so I have it running on my laptop. Um, but I don't want to untake it off my computer and try to put it back on because sometimes it can be a little bit fidgy. Um, but that's definitely a mod I'd like to do as a tutorial. I'd also have like this video here. I'm doing this, so I'll probably do a tutorial about how to make and this is an engine from scratch tutorial right now. I'll probably do a how to modify a pre-existing engine tutorial because that's a little easier, but not as fun. And then I also do tutorials basically on request. If enough people request something, I then say, okay, I'm going to make a tutorial on it, like how to add custom parts. I'll be doing that as a tutorial for the mods and stuff because I have to update the old one that's 2 months. And no, I'm not making a nuclear bomb. I'm not making weapons. This game's not weapons. The closest you're gonna get is a Dyson sphere. But oddly enough, people didn't vote for that at the 1,000 sub mark. So your guys are gonna get the nuclear pulse engine first, and then at 2,000 subs, I will put up a new list that will include items that people have requested, but aren't necessarily top of my personal priority. But I'm happy to do stuff if people ask for things. So that's where we're gonna get. Yeah. So Claude Jose, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. The mod pack, the game updated, and it now needs a new mod pack. Um, Actually, I can just 1 second here. So what you need to do is actually go here to github.com/emberskymedia and click on the mods and download the new file, unzip it, and put it into the new mods folder, not the old one, and it'll work. Right now I have engines, exotics, utilities up. Rover's coming this weekend. Electricity from N204 was updated. You'll need that for the utility pack to work properly, so you can get that there. We're still waiting on more parts mod to update his code. That's Danny. I think it'll take a little bit longer because he has mods and custom parts in his, so he may have to do a bit of programming changes here and there to correct for that because there are updates to the actual back game code and how the modules work. But yeah, so if you go here, you can download all the new ones. All the old ones you can toss; they don't work anymore. But that's the packs that work for that. So sorry for that delay. So that's what we're doing. Okay, so here we go. So this is the engine, and I said, what was it? 4.5. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4.5. So this is actually not the scale. Somebody mentioned this wasn't the scale, and I said, oh no, I'm sure it's the scale. But it's not the scale. Shoot. Okay, so I have to take this image here, and I have to stretch it a bit so that the bottom of the engine, because I want it to be 4.5. Um, why this is not, it's a CAD drawing, it's not scale, I don't know. But now we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4.5. All right, so it's close enough to 4.5, and we'll make some adjustments as we go. All right, cool. So we got the top plate, which is just a plate that sits there. The top plate is an attachment point. It is a drag surface. It is a build collider. Physics collider, I still don't know what that does, and you can click on it. Good. Nothing super fancy there. And then we're going to go to the nozzle. Now the nozzle, oops, it's going to be this core part here. Obviously, it looks like a nozzle. We're going to create our custom pipe, our pipe mesh, and we're going to just quickly make a nozzle because we'll get into actually the coding of the engine because again, make it work and then make it look nice. And I said I wanted um, metal 4, and if I think, yeah, metal 4 is right there, and we want edges. Which edges do we want? Yeah, good enough. Okay, and we'll make some changes. And again, it shows up here at the top. So we'll move that in a second. So the bottom one is going to be this one here. We said that's going to be negative 4.5. Yeah, we're working in the negative on this because, as I said, it's an engine, it's below grade. And 2.5. Okay. We're going to generate the mesh. And because we have this image in the background that we do want, we're just going to reduce the transparency a bit so it gets down to there. And that's why our diagram wasn't right, because it was too small. Okay. Let's see. Is that happier? It's happier. It could be happier at 1.2. 1.2. All right. Cool. All right. So I'm going to say that's the engine right there. Hopefully everyone agrees that's going to work. I'm just going to check the comments here. Somebody's comment stuff. Yeah, so if you do need to go, no problem. This will be on the forum or on the channel afterwards. It'll probably be in a playlist, or again, you can go on to the shoot, what's it called? Discord forum and just ask me for it, and I can always send you the link. It's not going to be a month long. That's as I said, I was going to go for at least an hour, max probably 3 is what I was thinking. Because if I can get the engine done in the next hour, that's good. And then I was probably going to look at maybe doing the boosters. Because the boosters, I think people would like to see. And at that point, I think we'll call it. And then the next one, I'll do some more. I'll do the fairings and all that stuff. So, anyway. Hey Jan, welcome to the stream. I don't know how crazy in the morning it is for you, or crazy. Yeah, isn't it like 5 a.m. in the morning or something for you? You should be sleeping. All right. Okay, so here we have the engine and the nozzle. So again, it's the custom part. I'm gonna have a little overhang here because we do have it where we're gonna gimbal the engine, so it will move. And we're just going to use this drawing and kind of come up with a quick engine thing. Engine thing. That's the English. And again, depending on what we want to do, we can make this as real or not as real as we want. And I'm just going to go here. I'm not going to go crazy like the other one. The other one was a bit too crazy. There we go. There we go. And then going here, we're going to... Now, the easiest way to make these, I think, is just simply moving this up and down. And we want to pay attention that we're on the inner edge of the engine. And then we just keep going this. And we can make a bunch of them. And they make the engine look good. Up one, up one. Okay. And then we'll figure out the ribbing in a second. That will be similar to the other one. I just want to zoom in here. Yeah, we're pretty good. And up here we gotta fix it. Like so. Because we just want the core base of the engine. And there. And am I doing anything? Actually, that one might not be needed. Okay. So again, we're just going to hit generate mesh, and that's our nozzle essentially looking. So there we go. Awesome. Okay, so this is the nozzle. That's the base plate. And then we're going to go back and grab the flame holder. Where is that? That's up there. And we're going to move that flame holder down because, oops, where is it here? It's obviously not good. We want the flame coming out the bottom of the engine. Now, here's the thing. I've noticed one thing. The stock engine, oops, and we want it to go that wide. And down. Stock engines actually have it where the flame and is actually in the engine, like in the nozzle. I don't know why they do that. Like I know, yes, there's heat inside the nozzle, but from the game perspective, it's not like that heat is actually leaving the engine. So all my engines have it where the heat starts just below the nozzle, so that if you were to stack the engines, you don't have to actually turn on, ignore heat, because I feel like that's a little silly. Um, but everyone can make their own thing. But that's what I'm doing here. And yeah, I don't know why I'm doing it that way. Oh, I'm doing it that way. Sorry. I want to move it down, and then these I want 1 to 1. And I want it -5, -5, -5. Okay, we're good. 5.25. Yeah. 5.2. Okay, because nothing is going to go between that. And then here in the flame hitbox, that's where we can make it bigger by saying the size is, let's say, 8. Actually, yeah, because when it does this, it does that. And then we can make it here like that. Right. Okay, and then we're going to say here, we said 2.5.5. Okay, so that's going to be our engine. We'll play around with the hitbox, but just gives you an idea, if we toggle this, that's what the actual engine looks like, and then it's got a flame at the bottom, and then everything else makes it look pretty. Yes, the RS-25 was used on the space shuttle. They basically are reusing, well, they had a bunch of extra ones, so they're using those on the SLS. And apparently, the first two SLSs are using the fuel launch controls from, I think it's Endeavour and Atlantis. So those were taken out when they were decommissioned, and then those are going to be put here. So if you go and see those engines and stuff, I think those are mock-up engines, or like basically decommissioned engines, like they pulled out all the pieces and everything that are there. But yeah, these are the same engines as the space shuttle program. So if you want to do space shuttle, these are also the engines you're going to want to use. So that's why this is a bit of a 2-for-1. I think they were also used for another project, but I can't remember what it was. But they used one of these as well, I think, for it. And I cannot remember what it was. But yeah, these are sort of have been the bread and butter engine for NASA since the J2 series, if I understand things, or the F1 J2 series. So just make sure you put it in future tense when referring to SLS. I am hoping that that's going to work out. But the engines are technically on the SLS right now. We're hoping that, engine 3 will behave itself, and they'll be able to put that one up in the air. Okay, so this is what we have right now. Again, we have the picture in the background here. That's great. Uh, and we can add a lot of stuff on here, which I will do. But yeah, have a good night, Jan. Thanks for dropping in at probably 3 in the morning, your time. And I'll give you a shout tomorrow when you're more awake and I'm more awake. So my morning, probably your afternoon. We'll see. All right. So there we go. Now let's talk about the actual engine parts. So the actual engine has a lot of functional parts, and these functional parts are going to need a lot of variables. But let's go into components, and I'm going to show you what they look like. So we need an engine module, And everything that we need is based off, yeah, 3:20 a.m. Yeah, exactly. Go to bed, yawn. Have a good night. All right, so we need a flow module. Um, we need to decide if we're gonna have the gimbal on or off. If we're gonna have the gimbal, we need a move module. The engine on is a thing and throttle. We'll need these as well for our flame, which we still have to make a flame for. And then we also have heat on, off, and then our heat box is there. So our heat holder, which I call the flame holder. Right. We're just going to change that. The flame holder and the heat holder are two different things. So heat holder, heat hitbox. All right. So we're just going to go back up here. So we can do that right now, which is the heat holder. That's going to make that happy. The flow controller, so we're going to need a flow module. And this flow module is where we're going to tell it what type of fuel it's going to use. So we're going to say it's going to use liquid fuel. And the flow rate is going to be here. And that's where we need to go up here to variables and start making some variables. So one variable we need is throttle. Another variable we need is mass. We don't actually need it, but I'm going to have it anywhere. We need a variable called, Boolean variable called gimbal. I'm just going to go state. And we need, what else do we have? Engine. And the gimbal thing is a new thing as well. Just FYI on that one. It's new as of this afternoon. I asked Cucumber, I don't know his real name, but yeah, to please add that in. So we got throttle, gimbal, throttle out, heat on. So we need that one. And that generally something like heat on for creative. I don't know why it's got that long title, but that's how the other engines kind of use it. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna go engine state here. We're gonna go gimbal state here. Now gimbal on, we're gonna save that, and engine state is off, but we'll leave it like that. Throttle out will be throttle. And so other thing we need is a flow module, which we've added down here. And we're gonna pick RS25 because that is the box. So we have the flow module. Now you can have the flow module be any type of fuel. There's a bunch of them in the game. Plus also I've made a few of my own. So you can do that. You can also, and this is something people don't always know, you can actually make it where it can use multiple fuels. You can get the fuels globally from the surface, aka this top surface right here, or local, aka only fuel that it has locally. So you can actually have basically like a fuel tank, an internal fuel tank. So you can do that. You can make the flow negative or positive. So you could have it where you could build a reactor as an engine and have it where it will use liquid fuel and say produce electricity. So there's a lot of things you can do with this, and you can do dual fuel engines, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So that works really well, and that's sort of how you can do it. So like I have one engine which runs off electricity, and it runs off of its own fuel source and stuff. So I got some fancy engines, but that's what I was saying to people when they're saying, there's a certain point we have too many engines. I'm like, you can get really fancy with this engine code, and there's some other stuff you can do with this flow module being used in other ways. Like my vent tank, which just vents fuel into space. Completely the most useless thing you've ever seen, but you can do it. So for this one here, it's not going to be global. We're going to use surfaces. And then it's going to say surface data. Now you can use the nozzle or the top plate. I'm going to use the top plate. But you can also create a surface object to do that. And if I go top plate here, we can go surface. I think it's surface collider. No, we don't want that. That's something else. Yeah, that's the collision thing, which we still have to add. But for right now, I think we're good. Yeah, because it'll do it off that surface. Okay, we're good. Okay, so we're back here. sorry for that jumping around. As I said, it kind of goes a little bit squirrely sometimes. And let's see what we got here. Okay, so we're back to the engine. Right, the engine module, the most important part of the engine. Okay, so I wrote some numbers down back in that Excel spreadsheet, so let's pop that up. Here we go. And I'm just going to move that off to the side here, and I'm going to put the numbers in. So the thrust is 232. The thrust normal is vertical. It's not shooting off to the side. It's not going 45-degree angles. You can, whatever ratio you want on this. The thrust position, I generally have the thrust coming at the very top here and out. That means that the thrust is being pushed on the rocket at this point. You can have it down here, you can have it other spots, but again, if you start messing with this, you might not have an engine that fires straight, and then when you fire that engine, it sort of causes the rocket to do squirrely things. The ISP was 301 because why not? And the thrust position, so there we go. So now this engine is mostly functional. The only thing else we're missing is a move. Okay, so we're gonna, because we can see here that we have none. So we're gonna go move module, and the move module is down here. And this is for the gimbal. So again, we'll just pick our S25 because that's where the move module is. We're gonna add other move modules into this engine for the flame and everything else. But for now, that's the one there. And if we do it this way, when you're building it from scratch, you're not accidentally putting the wrong module for the wrong thing, because that would be bad. All right, so the move modules here, there's time and there's state and all this other stuff. We don't actually have to do anything with this. In other stuff we do, but since this move module is only going to be called by the engine, it actually controls these variables for us. We do need to add an element, and that element is, I think it's rotation Z. Yep. And it's going to be on the nozzle. And then we're going to go in here and we're going to create a line, but we're actually going to go from, and this is degrees that the engine is going to rotate. So we're going to go 5 degrees there. And then here we're going to add this key, and instead of times 0, we're going to go -1, and it's going to be -5 degrees. So if I close that and just reopen it again so it scales. So this is, time scale is 1 to 1. So it's going to, or time scale is normally 0 to 1. With this particular one, it's -1 to 1, and it's going to go basically 5 degrees when you turn left and 5 degrees when you turn right. So it'll do that. You can play around with this. You can make it curved and all this fancy stuff here, but just make sure that whatever you do at 0, 0 point right here in the middle, it's 0, 0, because otherwise the engine will be pointing in a weird direction when you try to start it, and that's bad. That's very bad. All right, so with that, are there any questions? Yes, Cedric, the Raptor engines are coming next week. My current plan is the SLS this week, so I'll hopefully get it up before the Saturday attempt. And then I'm going to have the rover pack come out over the weekend or Monday, and then the engines will probably come next week, as I just need a little bit of time to actually add all this extra gimbal and torque settings into the engine, because I do need to add torque. Yes, torque. So torque allows things to move things and rotate stuff. And we're going to call it gimbal state. We're going to go like this. So if the gimbal state's on, you have torque. If the gimbal state's off, you don't have torque. And the trick here is, if you want a little bit of torque on your engine when the gimbal state's there, just make 2 torque modules and have one enabled and the other one disabled if the torque is off. So yeah, that's the thing. So the torque on this engine, I don't know what I'm going to set it to. So it's going to be throttle times a number. I'm going to say 10, and I'm going to say +2. That means that if the engine's off, it'll give you 2 torque. I know it's not realistic, but I find that if I don't add it in, you turn off the engine and you're basically stuck in a dead stick situation because the engine's so heavy. Especially if you're using some of the other control systems, or if the control system is really close to the engine, you basically end up with a dead stick rocket, and then you can't rotate it at all, and you're like, oh crap. So this is basically my cheat for if you're in the atmosphere. This is enough to help you get over the atmospheric correction so that you can actually rotate the rocket. Otherwise, you can run into some problems when the only other torque is like a small capsule sitting on the top of a 2,000-ton rocket. Yeah, so Island White Waffle, what you need to do is you need to get the updated mods, and then you need to move them to the new mods folder and delete the old mod folder. Same thing with the custom parts and the custom textures. They all have to be moved into the new mods folder to be used. If you don't do that, then yeah, they break the game horribly. Um, so yeah, that's how that kind of works. All right. Okay, so we have that. So again, the engine requires the engine module, a flow module, a move module to do the rotation here. And like a good example of this, I'll show you is one, I hit apply animation, it rotates the engine. If I go here to -1, it apply the animation, it rotates it the other way. Just make sure you always set this back to 0 and hit apply animation. Otherwise, it'll start angled funny in the actual build screen. So that's always been a fun one. So we have that there, so that's good. So the engine nozzle will move back and forth. The rocket will fire. The flow rate is going to be throttle down here. And it's negative because obviously the engine's using fuel. It's not producing fuel. And there we go. Can you make a water-powered nuclear engine? You can make anything you want, Shane, because you can just add a fuel, quotes, called water, and you can have it do a whole bunch of stuff. Um, it's, whatever you want. You can get kind of crazy. Now, the only problem is that yeah, right now, as Felix is mentioning, right now there is no water in the game. You can't land in the water or anything like that. You can actually add water-powered engines, but I'm hoping at some point either I'm going to make the update or somebody else will that actually will allow you to add water onto the surface of planets and stuff. We'll see, because I think Earth is the only one that really has a lot of water. One of the Jupiter moons is basically ice water, so that's I guess you're landing on ice. But yeah, we'll see how that all goes. So you can have a water-powered nuclear engine if you want. Um, you can call it whatever you want. You can run it on freaking Furbies. All right. So that's how that goes. So for C's, that would actually need to be a C# programming. Um, I think somebody else is looking at it. I'm gonna look at it as well, but I don't want to do work for that somebody else is already doing work on, because then the two of us are basically, we're parallel path. It's not good use of time. So and right now I'm working on the custom parts. I think that's going to be higher demand because I know custom parts um, are easier to make, and they're easier to use than putting in a huge update to add water. So anyway, for now we're just doing that. So okay, so we have the engine here, and I'm trying to remember what the next step is. Okay, so there. The next step is probably adding the flame. All right, so we're going to create a new empty, and we're going to call this the flame holder. So the flame holder has a move command in it, um, and the target time will be throttle. There we go. And this is going to be our animation steps for the flame, which we will then add underneath as child elements to the flame holder, and that will work. So, oh, sorry, you're late. Oh, hey, Shane. I'm making the RS-25, which is here. Just tack that back up here for a second. So it's the RS-25 here from NASA that they used on the space shuttle, and they are going to be using on the SLS. So the SLS has 4 of them currently. That's why when they're talking about engine 3 on the last attempt not working, that's what they're talking about. They're trying to cool this down so that they could put the cryo fuel in, because the engine has to be cooled. Because if you don't, then the cryo fuel will massively expand, and the engine will basically either blow up or potentially damage the the equipment like the pump and the uh, valves, etc., and then it won't be stable, and then you have a dodgy engine, and a dodgy engine means you have a rocket not going the direction you want. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm just trying to show you guys how to do it from scratch, um, because that's what people requested. Okay, so we have the engine that works. So the engine now works. It'll actually work in game. If we take this and put this in the game, it should work. I say should work. I'm sure there's a couple steps I'm missing, which I'll double check. And then we have the move module, and the move module is based on throttle. So the engine is going to produce. So just quickly clarify this. The throttle here is a variable, and this variable is produced by the engine module right here, throttle out. So if you set the throttle to 100 and the engine isn't on, the throttle out from this engine module is 0. That's why you don't see the flames, etc., when you set the throttle if the engine isn't on. It's because the throttle is actually a variable that the engine is kicking out, not the actual throttle from the game itself. That's controlling the engine. I know it sounds completely backwards and insane. That's how this works. All right, so flame holder has basically it's going to hold the flame, and it has this move command, and this move command is basically going to be controlled by throttle and an animation time of 0.25, and I should probably add an animation time on that other thing while I'm here. Yeah, sorry about this, guys. Just jumping around. 0.01. So if you don't have it, it's instantaneous, and it looks like things like going slap, slap, slap. So always add a little bit of animation time, even if it's only like 0.1 second. Okay, so these are the animation elements we're going to do. And now I'm thinking in my head, I need to add some stuff into the flame. So we do need a flame. Okay, so we're gonna call this. Now this is where we can make a flame and do this. So we're gonna call this inner flame, and we're gonna add a component. Now this here is. I'm trying to think here. A sprite. Sprite library, or is it sprite resolver? I think it's sprite renderer. And then we can go here and we can pick a sprite. So we're going to pick exhaust. Oh, there it goes. It's there, and the flame holder is off. Yeah. Okay. There we go. And we're going to go, what did I say, 4.5? Negative 4.5. Whoops. Sorry, guys. Okay, so that's our sprite right there. The color is whatever color it's going to be. And then we're just going to adjust this to what we want, which is here. And then we're going to make this very long because it's a big giant flame. And we can play around with this quite a bit. But for right now, I'm going to say 15 because it's a big engine. It's not crazy big, but there you go. And then in the color, we're going to actually not worry about the color right now. And I'll explain to you why in a second. But I'm just going to go for the shape here and draw mode simple, sprite skin. Okay. And I think I've done it the right way. 99% sure I've done it the right way. And then we're going to add a component here, and it's called Flame Randomizer. And this here basically will random the flame, so it'll make it flicker. Now, it's important that the boundaries is around your X value here, so we're going to say 1.53, and we'll say 1.55. You can make these anything, but it'll basically bounce between these 2 points here and remove whatever's here. So I'm going to go here, say 14.5, and we'll say 15. So this will override this. And this is something when you're building these engines and other parts, you have to realize that code and scripts will always override the transform function. The move module will override um, this, and it could even override this. So when you're adding stuff in, you need to be a little careful. So here we're going to pick sprite color, and then we're going to pick our inner flame. And this is why I'm not too worried about the inner flame, because we're actually going to change the color here based on this. Again is 0 and this is 100%. So at 0 we're going to go here and we're going to change the alpha to 0 because there's no flame, no alpha. The color doesn't really matter at this, but we're going to say we're going to make it, I guess, a blue flame. I don't know. We should probably look at what our RS-25 looks like. So, and then, oops, I'll just delete that one there. And then over here, this color here, we can make it, I don't know, we'll make it go like red. It's absolutely the stupidest thing in the world. But what this means is that if at 0 point, which I'm at right now, apply the animation, you don't see it, right? It's invisible. If we go 0.25%, you end up being a blue flame. And as the engine essentially is turning on, it'll start going redder and more opaque until you get to 1, and then it's now an opaque red flame. Obviously, you can change this and you can add multiple flame elements to this and really make this look cool and a whole bunch of different sprites, but that's how you do it. Although I wouldn't recommend going at 100% because that's going to look odd in the game. I would say out of the 255, I would say probably go 200. That's probably as high as you want. You can apply animation here and you can see it. So that's sort of what you do. And then if you apply animation 0, it disappears because it's off. Now, the other thing you can do, and we'll just put it back to 1 so we can see it, is obviously the engine just doesn't pop up like that. So we're going to go to here and we're going to go to scale and we're going to pick our inner flame and we're going to scale the inner flame from 0 to 1. And if I go back to the inner flame, what numbers I go? It's 1.55, right? Yeah. Okay, so it's going 0 to here. We're going to add the key and go 0.55. And then in the y-axis, we can do that as well. And we can go here to edit key to 15. And then that will actually make it where if it's like 50% here, the engine's very thin. Actually, I don't want to do that. At the key. Oh, what did I just do? Shoot. Edit key. Yeah, 1.55. Okay. So I don't actually want to touch the. There we go. So now this flame, if you do it very quickly, 0.1, apply. It's a light blue flame, and it's only small. As you go 0.025, it gets longer. 0.5, it starts going from blue to red. And again, you can make it whatever you want. And then apply animation here, makes it bigger. And then finally at 1, you have this red flame, which is completely unrealistic, but that's how that works. So yeah, I just made it red to show that you can change the color of the stuff, but basically you make the color changes here in this move module in the flame holder rather than in the actual flame itself, because it'll change based on what the move module says. And then the only thing you need to do is before you submit the engine, hit 0 because and then apply the animation because you don't want the engine starting with the flame on. That would look really silly. But so yeah, so you can change the flames, etc., on all that stuff. So I saw somebody asked a couple questions. You saw it red, yeah, red was there. And then you said, hey, can you make some custom? Yeah. So, to the boy genius, I do take requests. But what I do right now, because I have a lot of people making requests, is you can put the requests on the my Discord forum, And if people really like it and they give a lot of thumbs up, I'll consider making it. But also, when I hit 2,000 subscribers, I'll be making another poll and posting the top requests, and then people can vote on that, and I'll make whatever that top request vote is. Um, right now, I'm currently working on a nuclear pulse engine because that's what 1,000 subscribers was, and I'm hoping to have that done over the weekend, and then that will get updated as well. So that's how the request can go. I'm always open to requests, and sometimes people request stuff that only takes like 20 minutes to do, and I'm happy to do that. But yeah, just FYI, no weapons. Thank you. And then somebody says, "Am I streaming tomorrow?" I might be streaming tomorrow, but more likely I'll probably be streaming on Friday. Just so I'm not streaming every day. So probably Friday because I'll have tomorrow. I'm hoping to get the rest of the rover pack stuff done and then have a day to sort of test it out and make sure everything's good before I release it. So there you go. And hey Felix, yeah. You're tired. You're 7:45. Here it's like 8, so you're like an hour away. That's not too bad. And yeah, so these mods currently are only supported on PC and Mac. Um, phone mobile support should be coming. I don't know when it will be. I'm hoping it comes in the 1.6 update because that would be amazing. But that's up to Steph and the dev team to figure it out. So there you go. Yeah, so if I'm doing it on Friday, it'll probably be again 7 to 10 or 7 till whenever I finish, and that's Eastern Standard Time, because it's in the evening. So okay, so we have this engine now. Let me think here for a couple seconds to remember, um, what other steps I have to do to make these parts work. Obviously, I can add a lot of extra piping to the engine. It looks very basic right now, and I'm actually just gonna go here and convert that back to white. There we go. And generate mesh. Okay, so that actually looks like an engine. So there's a whole bunch of other stuff that I can add. That's just extra piping, which if you guys seen me do this, you can obviously add the extra piping in there. But I will figure that out. I just want to see now if this is actually functional. And I'm trying to remember what else I need to do. There's two things I need to do here. Right. Okay. So I need to add a polygon collider. So this polygon collider, let's select the 2D collider. Yeah. So it's gonna pick here and boop, 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 this top plate. And then I'm just gonna say the heat hitbox, because obviously you don't want this engine heating itself up. That would be bad. And I'm gonna say it's medium. I think medium's decent. And then I'm going to copy this component, and in the nozzle, I'm going to paste it here at the bottom, paste it as a new, and I'm going to change that to the nozzle, and that's there. So that's good because you need to have the collider so it knows what to collide in. Parts is good. Okay, so this engine should be functional. So we will figure that out in a second. I need to make sure I add this engine to my pack. And then we're going to go to the core section for a second here. And I'm going to go tank pipe here, or fuel tank. And I'm also going to add that collider because we need it on objects so that they will collide with each other. Because otherwise they fly through each other and it looks awful. All right, there we go. And we're going to say this medium as well. All right. Give me a second to run through my brain here. I think I have all the pieces. I think I do. All right. So that's the core section, and that's the RS-25. So let's see if we can make this work in Spaceflight Simulator and see if it comes up with any magical errors. Well, let's check Odin first. So this is the validator in Odin. This comes up and tells you if you have errors. Um, Ignore the astronaut and the heat holder error. That's a long story. Anything that's a warning is generally not a big problem, but the solar panels all have them because they have a box polygon. They have two of them in each. Heat shield contains a duplicate adapt trigger module. Okay, but nothing in what I just did. Good. Okay, so these theoretically have no errors. That's always important. So we're gonna go Pico space SLS. We can name it whatever we want. Call it SLS. This is alpha. Description SLS parts. Fine. Normally I wouldn't do this for an alpha, but just so you guys show you how to do this. And then you can select a photo or whatever. I'm just gonna pick this icon here. Close enough, right? And then we're gonna pick the pack. There we go. We're gonna build it for Windows and thing just there. It's gonna open up this thing here. This is if you need to make a DLL and you select a DLL. We don't, so we're gonna hit cancel. And it's gonna go and it's going to theoretically build the thing. And 2 seconds here. And yeah, this will take a certain amount of time as it's building the pack. It's probably taking longer because I forgot to take the photos out. But anyhow. All right, so we're going to go to the mod builder, which is in the toolkit main, toolkit assets mod builder, and it will have created this SLL pack. Now this pack is massively huge because I still have the pictures in it, but generally the pack is, at most like one, usually smaller, but I haven't removed the images yet, which I will do normally before I release it. But for right now, the images are in there. And then we're going to go to parts, which is Spaceflight Simulator, Spaceflight Simulator game, mods, custom asset parts, not the old one. This is the new spot to put it in. Don't put them in the old spot. They won't work. And I can put it as a pack. And then we're going to go to, oh, wait, I know what I almost made I almost made a boo-boo. I almost made a boo-boo. Okay, so the boo-boo I almost made is I forgot to make a so this here is a picked category. Now I have them all here in this folder. You can actually get them in the resources pick categories. They're right here. I just moved everything over to this folder so I had it all in one spot. It's easier to back up and save. But so I made an SLS Artemis, and I'm going to call this SLS Artemis. And the reason I have to do this is because if I don't do this while the parts are in the game, they're not in the build screen. So here, I need to put here on the parts list. Oops. I have to do that too. Oh boy, I am. Okay, so I need to add tags here, and I'm going to go here and I'm going to find it where it says SLS Artemis. And here you can actually, like, if you want to, you can add changes, like this is the variable number, etc. So you can like make a number, or you can say a toggle or text to have it different variants. We're not going to need that for this project, but that's if you need to make changes. The tag, so it tells it to go put in SLS Artemis. Priority is how up and down the list it is. Cost is only for career mode. I can put the cost as $1,000, doesn't matter. Career mode does not actually use the parts, custom parts, because obviously somebody would make like a $1 mega rocket in 2 seconds and then, finish the career thing, no problem. You also have to make these fields here. So we're going to call this core section, and this is the all right, and that's good. Okay, so I did that for this, so that's good. It's now going to work. Yay. And then I have to do that as well for the engine. Otherwise, the engine doesn't pop up in the right spot. And we're going to add a variant. And I'm actually going to put the engine in SLS. Normally, I would put the engine into the engines folder, just because that's where engines I feel should go. Might make it a little bit longer to scroll through, but yeah, let me know what you think about that. But for now, we're just gonna put it there, and we actually also have to add this, which is actually saying turn on the engine. uh, or is it RS23025? And the function is engine toggle engine, toggle the engine. Okay, so that's there. And then over here in the core section, because I have to do this as well. And this is on part use is when you click on the part. And then here, I'm just going to put this as, where is it? Core stage. Yeah. And this one here is, no. Oh, I moved it to the tank, didn't I? Fuel tank, yeah. And this one here is the resource module, and it's toggle transfer, and that allows you to transfer fuel in and out of the module. You don't really need it for a project like this because obviously you would never do it, but I'm just throwing it in there because people would normally want to click on the tank to see how much fuel's in it. So there you go. All right, so we're gonna go back to building a pack. And we'll just go SLS, alpha, description, SLS parts. For all intents and purposes, show the icon, and we'll just throw, again, an icon in just so you guys can see what it looks like in the game. And we're gonna pick the right pack, Artemis, hit the build, cancel. It's going to, again, make it, and then we'll put it in the right spot, and we'll delete this one because we don't need it. Oops. Yeah, we don't need that one. And we're going to go back, and hopefully, oh, it's not done yet. Okay, it's done now. We'll take this pack here, and we're going to put it over here. There we go. And now, with great fanfare, we're going to find out how badly I messed this up. Oh, bye, Sol Altbod. Have a good night. A face reveal? Yeah, so my face is on my other channel. I just didn't want to use up space on the program thing to show it because then I'd end up having it where I would, try to do something and then some people are like, I can't see what you're doing because it's behind your face. So here we go. And you can see here, SLS Alpha Pack is right here. It has that icon. My other engine packs are here. So yeah, so we know it's loaded. Good. We're going to go play. We're going to go to the mod world. We're going to go new engine. We're going to just build a brand new rocket. And then we're going to see, is it actually in the game? SLS Artemis. Okay. There's the tank. It's kind of a big tank. Okay. And then here's the engine. And I don't know how many engines we need to make this tank actually go up, but we'll toss in, how about 3? 3 engines good? So we're kind of low. Okay. So we're going to actually remove a lot of the fuel in the tank. There you go. Just so we have a positive weight. And then at the very top, we're just going to go to basics here. And we're going to add a controller because we need something to control the rocket. And then we're going to go to launch. Yeah, we're going to launch anyway. There we go. I do not know why this is floating in the air. So we'll have to figure that one out. But if I hit ignition, no. Oh, engine on. Okay, how about now? Goody. So something's not working. And welcome to modding. But yeah, so that's there. So I'm just wondering why that's not working. Okay, so we're gonna go back to revert to build. Revert to build. So when things don't work, there's ways of figuring that out. So here we have mass, we have liquid fuel. We know that that works. Down here at the engines, if we go to SLS Artemis, it says mass, torque, thrust, efficiency. So for some reason, oh no, engine on, gimbal on, okay. So if we just turn these on then. Yeah, there's a couple of things I need to add into this, but let's try this. Yeah, launch anyway. It's still floating in the air, I don't know why. But if I go here, the engine should be going. So it thinks the engine's on. Okay, because it's rotating the gimbal, so the engines are on, but the flame isn't on, and it's not producing any actual thrust. Okay. Hmm. Well, it's not the end of the world, but yeah, welcome to the problem-solving part of the night. So we're going to exit this, and we're going to go back here, and we're going to... Oh, I know why. Right. So a couple things that could be wrong. Number one is that we have this giant photo in the thing, so I'm going to remove that. And we have the photo in the RS-25 as well, and it could be those photos are um, jamming up the game, because normally I remove them after I do this. Um, it could be a save bug as well, so that could be it. Hello, Mermy. Um, so let's think here for a second. I'm just going to double check what I did, make sure there's nothing weird. So we know the engine turns on because the gimbal enables, and that only enables if the engine's on. So mass 7, engine there, okay. That's good on the variance. The toggle engine's there because that turns the engine on and off. You touch it. So that's okay. Temperature is always negative infinity. You can actually type this in as a bunch of silly numbers, and it'll actually then the engine will or the part will start cooling from that point. Um, Orientation module's there. Throttle mass, okay. Yeah. So we're gonna make that mass, and then we're gonna go down here to mass, and we're gonna make that 7. Okay. Gimbal state, yes. Engine state is there. Okay. The engine thrust is there. 1, yeah. Pretty sure that's right. ISP, yeah. Gimbal state is the new thing. Engine state there. Throttle out is fine. Heat on creative. Heat holder. Liquid fuel. All right. And then the move module's fine. Nozzle rotates because we saw that work. The gimbal state, and that's good for the torque. And this is what you have to do. You have to go through and check everything. So attachment thing's good. That all works there. Render queued, colors, specify, specific. Yeah, this allows you to do different color stuff, but we don't have to do that right now. Polygon collider is fine. Okay, and then we go on to the nozzle. Nozzle's fine. And you can do like advanced. Oops, you can do different cuts and stuff, but let's not play with that. Just make sure because this is just the nozzle's just a visual thing. The heat holder's there. Oh, you know what? It's this. This is a flame trigger. There we go. Yeah, so little things like this you have to watch out for. So this is a flame trigger because it's actually a flame. That triggers it. This guy here should be parts. Yes, change the children. An inner flame should be parts because if it's not parts, it doesn't show up. That might explain why we didn't have the flame. All right. So that should be good. And then the tank should be good. We've removed all that. Okay, so let's build the pack again. And this time we're just going to do it really quickly. We make it look nice when we actually export it. It's going to make the same name, new pack data. Now we're just going to go 11111. That's fine. There we go. And we're going to see if this is going to actually make the engine go, because we want the engine to go. We definitely want the engine to go. We want the rocket to go. We want it to go up. We can add a whole bunch of fancy stuff on, but this is why I say working from scratch makes it better, because if you're having a problem with something on scratch, it's a lot easier to figure out what's going wrong than if you make a whole bunch of fancy stuff and make it look really nice, and then you're having a problem where it's like, what's broken? And then you're like, great, now I got to find the what broken part. So let's do this. Copy this, paste it here, and back to Spaceflight Simulator, and hopefully a working thing. So, all right, I'm gonna hit play. Back to mod world. I'm gonna build a new rocket. Go here. All right, looks good. Engine are currently set to on. That's fine. The gimbals are on. We're going to launch. It's going to tell us that we have no parachute or heat shield, and our rocket's too heavy to launch. You know what? It is too heavy to launch. Let's just drop it down. Okay, there we go. Launch anyway. All right. So in theory, and we got nothing. Why do we have nothing? Hmm. That is odd. And the tank is completely refilled too. Ah. Alright. Let's try something here. Convert to build. See if it's an engine problem or a tank problem. I'm just going to swap the engines here for a second. There we go. And it's back to 100%. Why? I don't know. Do these engines work? They do use up the fuel. Yes, they do. So there's a problem with the engines. They're not turning on. Okay. Well, this is a bit of fun. See how this goes. Alright, so let's see here. Build. And we're gonna go back here, and yeah, this is the reality of coding, is that you end up trying to do stuff like this. So hang on, it comes off and it start. Okay. So I've made a boo-boo here. You can see it here as it comes off, the flame is there and it turns itself off. All right. So there's a boo-boo there, but we're just gonna launch for 2 seconds. So I just want to see if I turn it on. Engine on, engine on, engine on. Okay. So the gimbals are on, but it's not actually producing thrust. And it's not using up the fuel. The gimbals are on. That's an odd one. So clearly, oh, I know what I've done. Okay. All right, so gimbal is on, but the engine is off. Okay, so go back to the engine, and we're gonna go here. Engine state. we're not going to save the engine state, and we're not going to save the gimbal, and we save the gimbal state. No, that doesn't make sense. Okay, gimbal state is on. Engine state there is off, which we can switch on. Because the engine's not turning on. That's the problem. But it allows us to use the left and right rotation on the nozzles. Could be that. Let's try this. Surface. And we're going to create a surface. Custom surface. And we're going to go here. And it's going to be 0.25, 0, negative 2.5, and 0. Okay. And we're just going to there. Okay. We're just going to go here. We're just going to see if we can try something here. I know there's some other stuff I can do. So put that there and wide. So 1.25. Okay. All right. So we're going to use that surface instead for the connection surface. Here we go. Surface. And we're also going to add here a magnet point. Magnet module. And the magnet module is going to be at 0, 0. So that will put a magnet point right there. And then on the core section, because we kind of want to just dot our T's and cross our I's, we'll make a magnet module here. And how tall did I say it was? So point here is going to be 0, 0, 0 as well. And then we also have one at the top, which is 0, 60. Okay. And we'll see there. All right. Okay, so just checking here on the chat if there's any questions. See where this rocket works. Yeah, we're trying to make the rocket work. And then I need to add sound to the engine and stuff, but I just want to make sure they actually turn on. And again, it's one of those things where it's like, it's just one little thing or something. So the flame holder here, I'm going to go 0. Apply. So the flame's going to disappear, but that should show up in the game based on throttle. Throttle is not coming out of the engine thing. So why is that not happening? Just want to double check here that I did put throttle as throttle out. Okay. And throttle is 0. I think it needs to be a saved value. No, I don't think it's saved. All right, let's try this. Yeah, this is, again, sorry. There's a certain level of back and forth that I have to do. And again, there's some new things in here that I'm still kind of working out, but this should work. The engine should go. There's no reason for this engine not to go. Hey Phoenix, I don't know how tired it is where you guys are, but could you maybe stop yawning in the chat? Because you're gonna make me tired, and then nobody's gonna be happy if I fall asleep. Be like, is he still working on it or is he sleeping? And you're gonna hear this weird snoring sound. All right, so we're back here. Build our new rocket. Engines are here at the bottom. Okay, engines are off. The gimbals are on. Oh, the mass is 0 tons. That's why. Okay. Yeah, that'll do it. That will do it every time. Where's their mass on the engines? Okay, it says mass. Mass says 7. I don't understand why that's not working. You know what? We're just going to say 7 tons. Okay. Okay, new pack data. Yeah. And then try this again. Yeah, because this game does not like things that have 0 ton mass. I just want to mention, you want to crash a game, you have 0 ton mass items in this game, and like they'll crash if something bumps into them, if you dock with them, if you smash them into the ground, if they burn up, the game will just crash. And it's just, if you don't realize it, you like if you're watching one part and it happens to be within that 5 kilometer active radius and it burns up, the game randomly crashes on you. You're like, what's going on? Yeah, 0 ton items are never good in this game. You, like, I thought about like making like an anti-grav thing. No, 0 ton, just never do it. Negative tonnage, or sorry, negative mass as well, also very bad. Things go really wonky quickly. There's no easy way of saying that. There are limits to what this game does. All right. Okay, we got ton now, and we got torque, and we've got fuel. Okay, so and that goes there, and yeah, the magnet module creates these little blue dots, so it sticks to them. So that's good. Okay, we're gonna, you know what? We're just gonna go up here at the top here because I get tired of those warnings really quickly. There you go. Congratulations. You now have everything you need for no. Drop the fuel down and launch. It's going to still say it has too much fuel. Why? I do not know. Throttle up. And engines are still not working. Hmm. Okay. This is a very odd situation. I am going to check the engines. This might be an up. Oh, you know what this could be? This could be one of those weird update things. All right. So we're going to go and look at an actual engine. Actual engine here. And we're going to see if there's anything else special that he's put in here that I should have. Engine packed, engine toggle, frontier engine, orientation, okay, variables, throttle, heat on, gimbal on, okay, yeah, okay, engine on, it has a plus, okay, the magnet module is the same spot, attachment surfaces, yeah, okay, he doesn't have it attaching to stuff, that's fine, points array, okay, flow module, same as mine, surfaces, negative, okay, oh, the flow rate he has nothing, okay, so I might have to take out the toggle there, okay, then he has this thrust position is negative 3.5. Okay. So we'll drop our negatives down so it's halfway down the engine. That's not a problem. Gimbal on, engine toggle. Okay. Creative use is on, heat holder, old mass. Oh, okay. So that might be it there. So that might be it because I think I have that set to 0. So that might be it there. Okay. Gimbal on, throttle. Yeah, that's fine. Audio module. So we need an audio module. So we're just going to take this one, copy this component. We'll put it in the other one. Then that's like that. -1, -1. Okay. All right. Base collider pipe. Okay, that's basic. The ring is stuff we don't need. The nozzle has no attachment surface and no physics collider. Oh, okay. Does the base have a physics collider? No. Oh, he's turned off physics collider. Okay, we might have to turn off physics collider. So let me just write that down here. So we have old mass, the physics collider, and then we also have the audio that we're gonna add in. Okay. And then over here, he's got the nozzle. Goes like that. And he's got a polygon, okay. And then pipe surface, that's fine. Bottom, pipe surface. Okay, so I got pipe surface. Pipe surface. I think he's doing that because it's off up here. It's attachment surface. Okay. The pump we don't care about. The flame holder is actually in the nozzle. Okay, that's probably a good thing to do. Throttle 0.2. He's turning on the flame as active. The flame holder scale. Okay, so we probably have to activate the flame. The heat hitbox, he's also adjusting. Okay. And then the flame here has it where it's doing the same thing as mine here, right? Blue, white, blue, and these are sprite renders. Okay. And heat module, 2-box collider, and a rigid body 2D. All right, so the rigid body 2D, is it kinematic? It is kinematic. Okay. Yay, so this is all the fun stuff you get to figure out, and why making it from scratch. So we're gonna go back to our, where are we? SLS Artemis. We're gonna go to the engine, which is right here, and we are going to fix everything that I just wrote down. So this is mass. Old mass down here is 7. Why? Because that's what we're doing. Everything says 7, we're good. Okay, throttle there. Engine states there. We got to click that on. Okay. Okay, did that. I did say I had an audio module, so we can paste that component as new, and that'll drop down here. It'll make a fun sound. That's great. So now we'll know if the engine's on because it'll make noise based on throttle. Okay. This guy here, we said we're turning off the physics colliders on the parts. I don't know what they do, but we're gonna leave that. Attachment surface, we can leave that on. Actually, we can, no, that's gonna be the attachment surface, so we can leave that off there. Cool. And the nozzle's off. Cool. All right. And then we had a add component pipe surface, and here we're just doing the bottom of the nozzle, so that'll do that, and it's attachment drag surface. Okay. Actually, we just need the attachment because the whole thing drags. Okay. Attachment surface, drag surface. Okay, so drag surface off. Okay. Then in our heat holder here, we need to add a rigid body 2D, not 3D, because that's bad, and we're changing it to kinematic. There we go. Okay. So that's all the changes I think we need to make. Is anyone still awake? I know Phoenix is probably about to fall asleep. Yes, DVP. So basically what happens is if anything is absolute zero mass, basically anything that happens to it goes infinity, or it's like 1 divided by 0, and it just, the game crashes on you. It's an odd one. I've had it happen. The game literally just stops and the screen closes, and you're like, what? Yeah, that's sort of what we're up to on that one. So we're gonna see if we can get this engine to work here. I did say the flame holder's there, and it has this stuff here, but it's, oh, I see. The flame holder's there, but it doesn't, it should have the inner flame as a part. So we're going to go here and we're going to go active. We're going to pick the inner flame like so. We're going to go like this. 0 is inactive. Anything above 0 is active. And then we're also going to do this for the heat hitbox. Duplicate this element, put it down here, and that's going to be the heat holder, and it's going to go here. We're just do this, and then we got the inner flame. We're going to change that to the heat hitbox. So if I go here and I say 0.75, I just want to make sure this is not doing something weird. There we go. And where's the hitbox? And the hitbox is all over the place. What? What is this nonsense? Why is that that way? That is horribly, horribly wrong. Oh, I know why it's horribly, horribly wrong, because I just copied code and didn't think about it. Okay. There we go. It says there, A15, so we just want to go to 1. Apply animation. All right. Still don't know why it's rotated funny. Oh, that's why. Apply animation? Come on. Okay. All right. So we just need to fix this now because I've kind of broken everything in my brilliance. I broke everything. Okay. This is gonna be here. There. Okay. So if I change this to 1, which is full, where does the heat hitbox go now? Oh, I'm changing the hitbox, not the holder. Shoot. Heat holder. Okay. The heat holder is 1-to-1, right? Yeah. Okay, so the hitbox should be there, and we'll fix this up in a second, guys. That explains why we ran into troubles. Okay, there we go. And yeah, that just crashes the game DVP, which I guess, sure, if that's what you're going for, I guess that you can call that a nuke. Crashes the game. Game over, man. Game over. And this needs to change to 1. And this needs to change to 1. Okay. So if I go here, apply, and then if I go here to say 0.5, apply. Yeah, okay, that's pretty good. 0.25, apply, and then if I go 0, apply, it's off. Okay, and if I just go 0.00001, what does it look like? Apply animation. Okay, that's close enough. I'm happy with that. I think that's good. Okay, so what else did we say here in the nozzles? In the engine, something I did. This thing here, just turn, no, that's throttle out, throttle, but turn this off. Okay, cool. All right, so I think we're good for another try. All right. Yeah, my brain is saying we're probably good for another try and see if we can make this work. Build mod. Cancel. All right, so if this doesn't work, we're going to be into how many universes have I destroyed in Spaceflight Simulator, trying to make cool parts and stuff. We're probably into 100, the hundreds. I've had some days when just stuff didn't work, and it was just plain plain awful. So, all right, so let's try to do this. Made with Unity. Otherwise, I'm going to do the cheap thing and just steal the other engine code and put the pictures in. All right, build a new rocket, continue build, check the engines here. Are the engines good? No, they say 0 tons again. What is wrong with these things? Like, I can launch it. Yeah, it's going to get upset. Turn it on. And now they work. What? And the thrust is too high. So I'm not sure what's going on here. That's an odd one. So right now I don't have the thrust to weight ratio to lift this thing, although I did drop the mass. So I gotta figure out what's wrong with the, so there's a problem here with the fuel tank. Because we're pouring the wrong fuel. That, or there's no gravity on. Cheats. No gravity, no cheats on. That is gonna be the weirdest thing I've ever seen. But the engines work. Oh, yeah. The engines work until you turn it off and the whole thing drops to the ground. Yeah. Okay, so I need to figure out the tank. The tank is weird. Oh, have a good night, Felix. Thanks for hanging out until the engines worked. That's cool. Oh, is it way louder than my mic? Oh, I am so sorry. I have no idea. Yeah, the audio on the game is all the way up. Shoot. All right, let me turn that down so it doesn't blow out your eardrums. Whoopsies. Again, first time streaming. Um, so let's try that. All right. Let's revert to launch. I know. I just want to try to see what happens when the engine when we actually run out of fuel. So we're gonna go 3 times accelerant here. But yeah, like it's lifting it really slow, but it shouldn't be lifting it. The thrust to weight ratio is still below 1. So I'm not sure about why that is. So if I just go here, is that a better sound to noise ratio with these engines? Just let me know in the comments as we go. And yeah, so the flames need to be adjusted because the flames aren't moving with the engine. So that's needs to be fixed. So I'm just gonna write that down. It's not the end of the world. This is the flames are visual, and then it did that. Awesome sauce. Okay. So yeah, I have some ideas why that might have happened, but yeah. So I'm gonna have to fix that. So first of all, flame holders here. So that should go with this. Why is it not go? Oh, I know. Because the flame holder isn't. There we go. That solves the flame problem. It's nozzle flame holder. Okay, so now the nozzle and the flames will follow each other. Okay, so that's good. That solves that problem. So why is the mass 0 on the engines? It says mass. Mass equal to 7. Old mass is 7. I'm just going to go +1 here. Okay. Radio. That's an odd one. Okay. And then we're going to go over here to the core section, and I'm going to try to figure out why this, of all things, is being so weird. Oh, yeah, we got to turn that off. Attachment surfaces I'm going to leave on. Okay. Oh, where is it here? It might be because I have mass set to variable. Yeah, that's why. It needs to save the mass as it changes. And you know what? I'm just going to add them in here. So what is there? There is wet mass. There is fuel percent. And then there is, I think, oops. Here we go. Fuel tank. We're going to close these ones here. I don't need them. So wet mass. Oops. 90. Fuel percentage is, sorry, 1. And the dry mass. I need 1 for the dry mass. Okay. Variable. We're just going to call dry percent. All right. There we go. And the dry mass, what did we say that number was? Okay, that's pretty good. All right. So that should hopefully fix the problem with the tank. We hope. Because the tank should have been the easy part. Should definitely been the easy part. All right. So we're going to do this one more time. We're getting close to 10 o'clock, which is when I said I was going to stop no matter what, because I'm going to get tired. So that's in about 20 minutes, 22 minutes. So let's see if we can solve this in that time. And that also is 3 hours, gives you an idea how long it takes to actually do these things, especially even when you know what you're doing. Although with these new modules, it's a little different than normal, but yeah. Making an engine from scratch takes longer than repurposing one of the older ones, but I wanted to show that it could be done and what are all the little things you have to keep an eye on, especially if you start changing things. Because if you change an existing engine and you don't know what you're doing, you won't know what to fix. So while we're doing this, hopefully it works. Yeah, so we're gonna see what it is. So the US textures, you can already get those. They're on the SFS forum. Somebody's posted them as like a texture pack, and they actually, if you go on there, there's a bunch of texture packs for different countries, agencies, etc., different logos. So pretty much anything that currently exists in today's like space race stuff, you can get like SpaceX, Roscomo. Um, I think there's some stuff from Philippines as well. Pretty much all the US stuff. So you just need to jump up and get that texture pack. Um, so that would be good to go. Okay, so we're gonna go here. Now the big question is, one, we have fuel. Okay, we're gonna drop that fuel down to below the engines require, and then the engines have mass, right? Engines only have 1 ton. All right, I don't know what's going on with mass. I'm gonna have to figure that one out. But at least the engines are not 0 tons anymore, because that was kind of whatever. Okay, so okay, good. The fuel is right. It's 60% fuel. The rocket is no longer weighing the max tonnage. So I managed to fix that. That's what you do. The engines work. You rotate them. Okay. If you drop them down lower power, they do change. Okay. So everything is working. It looks like absolute garbage, but it's working. All right. Woo. So, conception, and we're just going to pause. So the engine's still running. I just put it quiet so I can talk here while we're getting it up to orbit just to test the. We will do the burn test. You always do the burn test because it's a funny one. But when things burn up, sometimes when they break, they crash because they're broken. So it's always good to actually put something into orbit and then have it drop back down and burn up. It sounds silly, but yeah. It also helps you figure out if you've not messed up any meshes or drag forces or stuff like that. So there were some questions here. So one was mobile. Okay, so we're hoping that the devs will support mobile, but if there is mobile support, it will be for the custom parts like what I'm making tonight. The more complicated mods will not likely be supported unless unless the dev actually puts that mod into the game code. So you'll probably see curated mods eventually be supported, but all the crazy little mods people are making you won't see. But custom parts like this should be supported in mobile when mobile gets the support, which we're all hoping is going to be really soon. And the rocket is doing weird stuff. What is it doing? Why is it doing that? Uh-oh. Well, this is not going to go well. Let's see if we can recover this. No, it's doing weird stuff again. Awesome. So we have some very weird things happening with this rocket still, and I do not know why. As it's now plummeting towards the ground, as I try to save it. Yeah, it's now heading towards the ground. Yeah, I'm not sure why it's doing that. I've never seen a rocket do that before. And I've done the Saturn thing, so I know like how to do this. Huh. Well, this is not going to be good because I think we lost all our velocity in order to get into orbit. Yeah, this is just going to slam into the ground if we're not careful. Oh no, we saved it. 28% fuel. Um, so other than the rocket dancing back and forth, which is very odd, I've never seen that before. It seems to be working. Yeah, now it's doing it again. I'm not sure why. There's no reason for it to be doing this at all. Hmm. Okay, so there's still probably a problem here, and we have to figure out what it is. Um, that is very weird. Huh. Right. Well, this is not going to make orbit because it's going to rotate out of the thing. Huh. So, oh, you know what it might be? It might be that I didn't change this line here not to have effects, so it might be those little things are having issues. But it's running. I just don't know why it's bouncing around so much. Oh, and then you can see here where you have this burning on the wrong side. So yeah, there's definitely some little glitches here and there. Um, it might be that physics thing that I turned off. Oh, it's only red because I just wanted to show that the flames were working and how to make them. Obviously, I can make custom flames, which I'll probably do in the next stream. But just making custom flames takes like easily like half an hour to 45 minutes to get right. Um, so yeah, so I think the physics thing I turned off is possibly what need to be turned on because it's still on the physics thing is still on the all these little pieces. So I think that dancing is because that was it interacting with the physics, which I'm going to need to ask the devs what that actually does. But we're at 100. Yeah, so we made it into orbit. Good. We're flying here. We flew completely out of the chute. All right, that's not good. Revert to launch. 1 second. All right, I'm going to go 3 times here. Um, yeah, so we're just gonna do this because what I want to do is bring it back down and basically burn it in the atmosphere and see if it crashes the game when the parts basically burn up. Um, and the rocket is now just going completely all over the place. So I think that physics thing definitely needs to be turned off. Yeah, yeah. Vert to launch. All right, let's see if we can do it this time properly. So I need to turn off the physics to, I think, this part here because it's there, but I'm just gonna see if we can quickly get this to orbit without it dancing all over the place like a I don't know what those are called, Mexican jumping beans or something like that. I remember having those as a kid. Those were kind of neat. But yeah, we're just gonna try to see if we can get this to orbit. And no, it's being mean again. No, 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 stop. It's also time accelerant, so yeah, it's probably the physics module. So this is probably something to do with wings that needs to be turned off. All right, I have a guess what this is. Let's just see if we can fix it. Takes 2 seconds. Okay, so I turned off the physics part up here in this cone section here, custom pipe, right here, the physics collider, but I didn't do it for all these little pieces. So I'm going to do that right now because I think these pieces, oh, not supported, okay. So we're just going to quickly turn it off because I think these pieces are what's causing it to jitter since there's so many of them. Um, and if you're wondering what this might do, this is the kind of thing that might be used for like plane wings or something. So I think that's what it's for. Um, but with all these little tiny like little boxes that are not even, it's just smacking against it. So let's try that. I'm pretty confident that is the problem. All right. So, how do I understand all this? I basically had to learn this all myself. I did jump on and watch about 3 Unity tutorials, and I also went on the Unity's page and read a couple pages as well. It's not that hard to figure out, but I also do have a pretty extensive background in programming and game programming back when I was in high school and stuff, so it's not unusual for me to see this type of stuff. But that's sort of how it came up. So that's how I sort of learned it. And then again, a lot of trial and error and testing stuff to see what worked and what didn't. Um, that is how I learned stuff. So we're going to launch this now. I still have to figure out why the mass is wrong, but that's probably the sound of another rocket. Yeah, that's the sound of another rocket exploding. Great. Okay, so with any luck, this is going to fly straight up. It's not going to jitter at all. We'll see if this goes. I have some hope, but it's not the most aerodynamic thing in the world. So as long as it stops jittering, we should be good. So questions. Instead of exploding in all directions, exploding in one direction, then we put stuff like that. Da, 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 da. So what you're talking about, DVP, is the uh, orbital launch cannon. Basically, you put stuff on it, and then it would launch things into orbit at high speed. The only issue I had with the orbital launch cannon is figuring out exactly what the speed was to get it to orbit, but at the same time not have it so fast that it would burn up getting to orbit. And then I want to have it adjustable range because I can now add the adjustment, so that I can have it adjust so you have like Venus, Earth, and Mars, so that you can launch from those 3 spots. Because anything else is kind of silly. There's no atmosphere, so a launch cannon doesn't really make the same sense. But it looks like the jittery stuff has disappeared. I'll say that and then watch it jitter all over the place. Um, I can turn the engine sound back on so we can all listen to this lovely engine. Oh, no, 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 no. No, 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 don't do what you're doing. Don't. Oh, and then I burnt the engine. Great. Well, this is not good. So one of the things in the game you have to be careful of is with the heat box is that you design the heat box so that it doesn't burn the engine beside it. We're gonna revert to launch on that one. We'll get into orbit, don't worry. Yeah, we're just gonna go straight up, 3 times X, and hope for the best. Yeah, because there's also wind and stuff in this game. So, and as I said, they updated it so now things work a little different. Yeah, a launch cannon would definitely help with a swarm. No, it's still doing this. I don't know why. That is so odd. But when I turn off the engine, it stops. So, then the engine grabs the ground. Okay. We're gonna revert to build. We're gonna strip the fuel right out of this thing. We're just gonna launch it again and see. But we're gonna stick up here a 12 wide. You know what? I've got stuff. Let's put stuff in here. Fairings. No. Close enough. And we're just gonna make this bigger. There we go. And we're gonna launch that. It might be the game now has more aggressive, I don't know, turbulence settings. Hello, Nebules. Welcome to the stream. And no, this is still twitching like a crazy thing. I don't know why. Okay, so I'm gonna have to play around with this. So we'll see why it's twitching crazy like this. I know if I turn the engines off, it stops. So it has to do something with the 3 engines. But yeah, that is odd. If I turn down the, does it reduce the amount? No, not really. But yeah, we're definitely slowing down a lot faster. I was really hoping to burn this rocket tonight, guys. Come on. We'll get it up there. We'll get up there no matter what. We're only at 5,000. Oh, geez. Yeah, this is not going to work well. And then the engines burn themselves off. All right, so we definitely have a little problem with the engines. So we'll have to figure that out. Huh. I've never had so many problems trying to build something. Tonight has been a comedy of errors. And I do not know why it's twitchy. This twitchiness I've never seen before. I have a hard time believing it's the engine. Huh. Because it's falling, and yet the velocity is going down. But it should be accelerating, like, significantly. Well, technically we landed, kind of. Alright. Yeah. That's interesting. Alright, let's try something here. Revert to build. Revert to build. What do we got here? So by process of elimination, I want to know if it's the core section or the engine that's doing this. So we're just going to quickly build ourselves a little rocket. Using all stock pieces with the exception of the engine. Oops, okay. And we're going to see if this does what I think it should do. Because this is normally what I do with rockets. I build this little guy and then I launch him into space. This is normally my rocket test. So we're going to give this a shot. Because this should just shoot up like crazy without any problems. No, it's the rocket. Okay. Revert to build. So we're going to toss these rockets for a second. Because we know did that. And we're going to go here on engines. And we're going to grab a Titan. I think a Titan should do it. 2 Titans. Okay. There we go. All right, 2 Titans gives us enough thrust. Okay, launch. And we're going to launch this here and just see if this causes us problems too, because then we'll know if it's a game problem or if it's a mod problem. I think it's just the engines. You know, process of elimination here. This is not causing us any issues, but we'll put it into enough orbit and then we'll bring it back down and see if that works. Oh yeah, no, the textures. Those are just texture packs. You can get them today. Um, but yeah. So we are probably in orbit by now. Yeah. Okay. So cool. So we're gonna time accelerant here. Okay. And then we're gonna slow down, and then we're gonna rotate the rocket sideways because why not? And we're gonna see if this thing burns and crashes the game when it finally burns out. It shouldn't because it's been good. But yeah, those engines things. How do we? Uh, yeah, I just created all those engines. I just have to update them. So the burn thing still has some problems with it because it shouldn't look like that. And yeah, this guy's just gonna fall into orbit. But okay. So a few little errors, nothing too major. So we'll have to figure out the physics thing. Um, that might need to actually be turned on. That might be why the engines aren't working. You never know. Anyhow, so we'll figure that out. We have 3 minutes, so let's see what we can do. If you guys have any last minute questions, please let me know in the chat. And like ask the question, then put like 3 or 4 question marks behind it so that I can actually see um, if it's there. I'm seeing some questions like, do you prefer NASA or SpaceX? Personally, I'm good with either one of them. I think it's kind of interesting to go with. In terms of which one do I think is going to reach Mars first, that's going to be an interesting one. And boom. Okay. Let's go and see if we can fix these engines and maybe fix that rocket because that's odd. That jitteriness is so weird. Like, I have never seen that in an engine. Okay, so one option is we turn on the physics collider. The other option is we actually just take that out. We go 7. I don't know why the mass is being so weird. We're just going to remove mass. I don't need it. Don't want it. Okay. Cool. Move module makes sense. We'll have 0.2 if we want to. Taking the Z, we know that. Okay. The surface is fine. It's attachment surface. It's drag surface. We don't need a drag surface. Oh, okay. So we got some questions here. F1 on the rockets for funsies. Yeah, we could probably do that. Have I ever done things with YouTube? So I actually have several YouTube channels. So I do produce different types of content. One of my channels that is space kind of related is the astrophotography channel. So I talk about astrophotography and cameras and a bunch of stuff like that. I do have a narrative film channel and I also have a travel channel, but um, the travel and the narrative film channels did not do so well. So I've been spending more time doing the astrophotography, and I'm trying to do this channel here because I think this is actually pretty cool, and I wanted to give it a shot. So yeah, I do have multiple channels, and we'll see what else I end up producing as time goes on. Hopefully not a rocket that jitters all over the place like it's on some disco party. Center of mass. Oh, that's right. That's what I want to do. The here. So thrust position. So thrust position is negative. What do we say? 2, 2. Okay, so we're gonna move the thrust from here down here. Maybe that'll make it less jittery. Um, we changed the engines to 10 or to 7 tons instead of playing around with that stupid mass thing that didn't work. And kept giving us 0 because 0 is bad. Physics colliders are off because that's how the other thing is done. Flame holder has just a flame. There's nothing weird here, right? Flame trigger. Yup. Okay. I'm actually going to go here and just make this 1. So it's a little narrower because it was burning the other engines when it got things. So, okay. This is our last attempt for the night. And then we will see you guys in the next live stream, and hopefully I'll spend some time and see what I can fix. And then tell you guys, hey, how did I fix this? Yeah, we're just going to give this one more attempt DVP, and then we'll go. So what do I do beside all this stuff? Basically, I have a degree in engineering, so that's why I like this technical game, because it's fun, and it's engineering to a degree, and rocket science, and programming, so all types of things stuck together. Normally, it does not take this long to make a rocket that doesn't jitter like crazy. Alright, let's do this play. Alright, so we're going to strip the engines off. We're going to put one new engine on just in case it's a weird thing like this. 7 tons, good, good, good. Okay, we're going to then take that off because we know that that works. We're going to launch this. We're going to switch to the small rocket, and we're going to fire the engine off and see if it does that jitter stuff again. And it's doing it again. All right. Then it exploded. The engine blew itself up. Yeah. I'm gonna have to look at the engines and see if there's some weird thing that they've changed in the new update that the engines have to have so they don't do exactly that. So I think that's what we're gonna call it for tonight. When was the last time I went outside? I was outside all day today. I've been cutting the grass and doing a whole bunch of yard work and stuff. And I also have a dog, so take the dog out for walks several times and a bunch of stuff. I do get out and whatnot. I do live out here in the middle of nowhere countryside, so it's good stuff there. So thanks for watching, everybody. If you haven't hit the like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. I hate asking that, but it's always a good idea in case somebody forgot. So I'm hoping to do probably Friday at 7 o'clock. I'm going to see if I can figure out what this problem is offline, because it'll be a lot of back and forth quickly making little changes. And then on Friday, I'll let you guys know why that was doing it. And if I haven't, I will send it to the dev and say, why is this not working? And hopefully that's good. And yeah, I'm sorry that everything didn't work absolutely perfect tonight, but yeah, that's sort of part of this process. If you do have questions, you can feel free to leave them in the comments, or alternatively, again, the Discord server that I have. I do answer people's questions there pretty frequently. Again, I'm happy to answer questions like if there's little problems with mods or stuff like this, but I'm not Spaceflight Simulator's technical help support if things really start working, because I'd be answering questions all day because there's so many people ask questions about why is this not working, and it's often user error. Versus this might be user error, this might be an update error. I don't know. We'll see. Anyhow, thanks for watching, and everyone have a good night. And I gotta figure out how to turn this off somehow.